Stories number 1. Aita for banning my wife's friend from my house after pushed me for taking my drunk wife home. My wife is 27 and I am 28. My wife has a friend, a bit of a close friend. In fact, she's been friends with her since past 2 years. I don't like her at all and a lot of people find her insufferable. This weekend my wife told me that she's going to her friend's house and she'll spend her evening and night at her place with their 2 other friends. I asked her if they'll drink, she told me yes but she won't go overboard this time and she'll book a cab and come to home before 10. I told my wife that she won't book a cab, I'll come pick her up and she shouldn't drink a lot. She promised me she won't, but I had this feeling that she might drink too much cause my wife has tendencies of overdrinking especially when she's excited and partying, so I went to pick her up an hour before. When I showed up at her friend's place I saw all these drunk women dancing, drinking, and screaming like they ran out of mental asylum and my wife was laying on the couch clearly drunk. I grabbed my wife and told her it's time to leave. Her friend stopped me and insisted to let my wife stay for a bit longer and even my wife said to wait for a bit. I told them that they've been having fun and drinking for so many hours and it's more than enough for today. When I tried to leave with my wife her friend tried to stop me a bit forcefully and when I didn't listen to her she pushed me and called me controlling and cursed me in front of everyone. I told her that the only reason I am not retaliating is because she's a woman and I'm in her house, but from this moment she's not allowed in my house and if she comes over to my house ever again I'll call the police. I left with my wife and after we got home I fed her which she puked at midnight and went to sleep with me and she didn't sleep until midnight and didn't let me sleep either and kept saying, my husband, and hugged me and she kept complimenting me. I would be lying if I said I didn't enjoy that, but anyway now her friends all of them are telling me that I'm being a controlling husband and I have no right to tell my wife what she can and she can't do and I don't have the right to ban her friend from her house. Am I the asshole? Sure, I'm a bit angry but my anger is not without a reason and if I appear as a controlling husband I think my wife's situation warrants it and I'm just doing what I think is best for my wife. Update, Aita for banning my wife's friend from my house after she pushed me for taking my drunk wife home. First off I want to thank everyone for their helpful advice and I didn't even realize that my post blew up that I got 6k comments on my post. I stopped reading and started focusing on my wife and her health instead. When I logged back I read a lot of comments. Obviously I couldn't go through them all, so to clarify, yes, when it comes to drinking I'm a bit controlling. I keep my eyes on her and make sure she doesn't overdrink and I won't let her grab a cab when she's drunk. I'm not sure why some people were upset that I didn't let my drunk wife grab a cab alone back home and picked her up instead. Even if I am at work and if she calls me I'll leave work and go drive her home. It's not codependency, I'm just taking care of my wife when she's vulnerable. If she's sober I obviously have no need to go through all this. I'm not her father, I'm her husband and I feel like it's my responsibility to help and take care of her when she's drunk. I told my wife that she's been drinking way too much. The amount of alcohol she consumes during social events is obnoxious and even on daily basis. I told her that after I brought her back from her friend's home she drank only a shot a day when I was present, but when I wasn't with her did she drink even more? I would never know. I told her that I want to help her and doesn't want to lose her, but I also don't want to clean her puke and floor all the time and your friends actually encourage you to drink more instead of stopping you, and when I tried to pick you up like I always do her friend pushed me. She said she didn't realize that she was causing me so much trouble and she's going to stop drinking. I told her that drinking is fine as long as it's occasional and in moderation. Since then my wife didn't drink much. She drank yesterday after almost a week but didn't go overboard and she said she'll seek counselor and seek medical treatment if she can't control herself. Am I controlling? Yes, I guess, but only when it comes to alcohol. Even I didn't realize that my wife is getting addicted or already got addicted, and like others commented that I can't forcefully help my wife and she'll start blaming me, etc. I still don't want to give on my love. I love her and I know she loves me. She confesses her love to me in even more embarrassing way than just hugging me and repeating, my husband. I'm not a professional but I'm currently making my wife exercise and make sure she takes enough multivitamins. Stories number 2. Aita for telling my fiance's daughter I'm not her mom after she called me a gold digger with a uterus. Yeah, that's what she said. Buckle up. I, 32F, have been with my fiancé, 38M, for almost 4 years. He has a daughter, 15F, from his first marriage. Her mom is very much in the picture, but she's more of a wine and vibes parent than someone who actually parents. I've been the one handling school stuff, doctor's appointments, making actual meals instead of Postmates every night, helping her through panic attacks, you name it. Now I never tried to replace her mom, but I've been a consistent, caring adult in her life. I even helped plan her last birthday party when her mom completely forgot the date. Like I've seriously bent over backwards for this kid. Fast forward to last weekend. We're at this fancy dinner with my fiance's family, first time his extended family has met me, so I'm trying to make a good impression. Midway through, his daughter turns to me, smiles sweet as pie, and goes, "So how does it feel being a gold digger with a uterus?" "That's what mom says you are." Whole table stops. Someone chokes on their wine. I just sat there stunned for a second and said, "Oh, honey. I'm not your mom. I just happen to be the woman keeping your life together while she's out getting her chakras aligned." Fiancé was mortified. His daughter burst into tears and stormed out. He later said I stooped to her level and that I need to apologize because she's just a kid repeating what she hears. I told him I've spent years being disrespected and taking the high road, and maybe the real problem is that a 15-year-old is walking around thinking she can say things like that and not get clapped back at. Now his family is split, some think I was too harsh, others say I just finally said what no one else would. So, Aita for finally telling this girl I'm not her mom when she decided to come for me in front of the whole damn family. Stories number 3. Aita for telling my kid's mom that her husband can't have my kids while she's deployed. Tagline says it all. But here's some context. I, 36M, have 2 kids with my ex, 9 and 11. We've been divorced for 3+ years and she remarried 2+ years ago. We have legit 50-50 custody and split everything down the middle pretty well. We have built a good routine for co-parenting and things have been smooth for the last few years without any hostility. If ever a time in the past where she had to leave for work she would ask me to watch them full-time in her absence, which you always do, happily. A few weeks ago she found out she's deploying for 6 months overseas and asked if while she was gone her husband could keep the same routine 50-50. I said no, that I had assumed I would have full responsibility of them. This upset them and it's been a huge discussion ever since. She says I'm not thinking of the kids, their stability, their happiness. I argue that I disagree and that what parent wouldn't want the opportunity to have them full again even if for a temporary time. I tried to explain that just because they are with me that I won't cut their other lives out completely. They don't want to hear it. The husband tries to make demands, every solution I've come up with doesn't work for him and I clearly the bad guy to them. I want to add that our custody agreement even states I get them if she deploys and we live in California. So even though I don't think I'm in the wrong here, Aita, edit, I want to clarify the biggest question that seems to be asked and the reason some feel I am TA. I have not told my kids about their mother deploying. I do not feel this is my position to. She will tell them when she is ready and I am respecting that. Of course I want to talk to my children about this and see what they think. I am trying my best to think of their stability, needs, and best interest. Edit 2, both my children are boys, because it's also been asked 1,000 times. Comments. Commenter 1. Family law legal assistant here. Not a lawyer. Not your lawyer. The following is merely my personal opinion. Legally, NTA based on what you have said the decree states. I'm curious where this is originating from. Does mom want it? Does stepdad want it? Or do the kids want it and mom is playing bad guy to protect them from feeling like they are hurting your feelings? If stepdad wants it, it could be him making a power play in their marriage. But legally he has no standing and therefore needs to shut up and sit down. If mom wants it, it makes the most sense for her to petition the court to modify the custody order. Just to protect everyone by having it enforceable in writing. Except that some provisions would need to be made for him to have legal powers in case something happens while they're in his care. If the kids want it, I think you need to figure that out, and I strongly encourage you to make it clear to them they are not hurting you by asking. Whatever the case, please make sure that any given adult's rights to the children are balanced with the needs of the children. From what I have seen in my experience, the two aren't always synonymous and the latter is easily forgotten. Not an accusation against anyone in your story. I'm just saying. Reply, 100% believe stepdad wants it. He has got in my face over the matter and stated that his role will not be reduced in mother's absence. It doesn't matter how many times I say you can still see them, anything less than what he feels entitled to is unacceptable for him. I want to also mention. He has a son of his own that he sees 1 month out of the year for the summer. I had mentioned my kids could spend time with him when he was around, but he told me that he wasn't sure if that worked for him because of his work schedule. He doesn't know if he can have his kid for a full summer yet somehow can manage to support mine. Sort of a red flag there for me from a stability standpoint. Commenter 2. Does he want this because it makes your ex-wife pay child support for the 6 months? Commenter 3. Ding ding ding. Plus he wants to play dad because he can't see his own kid. Commenter 4. Correction. He wants to play dad with other people's kids and is ambivalent to his own. Apparently, he thinks he's too busy to have his own kid for a month. LMAO. Commenter 5. This isn't it. My kids are 14, 13, and 9. For the last 8 years, my ex-husband has lived across the country from me, so I have had sole custody of them. He was able to see them every 2 years, not because he doesn't care, but because it's more expensive to fly across Canada than it is to fly from Canada to Mexico. He drove down in July to get them so they could live with him and get to know him, and now I am scrambling to try and come up with the money to either visit them or bring them up here. I definitely won't be able to afford to take off work the entire time they are here if I can even afford to have them this year. Maybe his kid lives far away and the budget is tight. Just because he has his kid 1 month a year doesn't mean he doesn't want a parent. My parents lived across the country from each other from the time I was 12. I am very used to only seeing one parent once a year. I never ever felt like the other didn't love me or was shirking their duties, and it was always my choice where I wanted to live. I definitely think the stepdad is overstepping. But maybe the kids want to be there and they know it and that's why they are fighting. I don't think keeping consistency is a bad thing, as long as everyone is comfortable. The fact stepdad is so involved in the debate between mom and dad isn't great. OP, ask your kids what they want. Commenter 6. Call me crazy, but if you have a child, and it's as manageable as this situation where it's one child with one woman, I think your role as a parent is to be in their life as much as possible. If that means moving closer to your child, then so be it. But marrying a woman that has children and tethering yourself to a place so far away from your own child that you see them less than 10% of the year, while insisting to be more of a presence in the new wife's kid's life than your own child's, is a huge red flag to me. This man is fighting harder to pull children away from their father than he is to see his own child. The fact that they were married a year after the divorce is an interesting little bit of information as well. Update. It's been 16 days since OG post. Before I start, not once did I say I believe stepdad to be malicious in any way. We don't get along, sure, doesn't mean he's a bad person. Next, I understand all the people who said I was TA was because I didn't talk to my children about their wants. I understand their input matters in this very big decision. Now, update. I spoke to a lawyer. As suspected, I was completely within my rights. Non-biological parent has no say in the matter. With mom leaving, I am sole guardian. No need to push anything on my end unless they try to, and even then it's an uphill battle for them to prove I'm unfit. As you can guess, they went to a lawyer also. I never sat down with mom to discuss how it went. What I do know is that it didn't go in their favor. How do I know, you may ask? Well, I decided it was time to try and have a private chat with stepdad. I was able to have a 5-minute conversation with him during my kid's sporting event we both conveniently arrived early to. He basically conceded at that point and told me they would just eat the 6 months. I told him I'd talk to my ex, but he asked if I could give her some time. I get it, she just got the bad news. I obliged and left it alone. I did tell him that I wouldn't stonewall him and that I respected his position in my kid's life and that I only flexed back after I felt like they were trying to intimidate me. We both agreed the way we met didn't start us off on the right foot and that we should take a step back and view the other's perspective. I told him, and her eventually, that I was still willing to give time and my intent was never to shut them out. I would like to address that I myself am a child of divorce. My stepdad raised me, and unless you knew me as a child you would have no idea. He deserves to never be reminded that we are not biologically related. He is and always will be the man I try to replicate and look up to. It was never downplaying the role of step-parent. I know my children don't have that relationship with their stepdad and it's so fresh I don't expect it. He is their friend, mentor, and one day I will have to accept that he is also their dad. I saw a lot of step-parents' responses, and if I made you feel away, I apologize. I respect you. What do the kids want? Unfortunately, mom still hasn't told them about the deployment. Why? Ick. I was able to vaguely ask the right questions to get a feel for what they want. The expectation is they stay with me but still get to see stepdad. I respect it, never against it. X and I still haven't discussed what exactly the time split will look like, but I did let her know stepdad was my go-to if I needed any help. He was still welcome when events arise, and I would keep him involved. After stepdad and I spoke, his entire demeanor changed. Regardless of reason, it's much appreciated. Long story short, still in a sort of limbo, but the future is bright. Comments. Commenter 1. That's so great to hear. And I'm glad it seems to be ending on a good note thus far. Fingers crossed that mom eases up a bit too, because the children's happiness should come first. And good on you and stepdad both for being the bigger person. The kids deserve her all the love in the world. Commenter 2. Wow. An adult conversation that resulted in a win for the kids. Way to go. Commenter 3. He shouldn't have needed to go see a lawyer in the first place, their tantrum cost him time and money. Stories number 4. Aita for disagreeing that I shouldn't wear shorts because a girl finds me wearing them uncomfortable. Hi all. I am someone who always has been wearing shorts my whole life. I've always worn shorts every weather, going gym, out, training, anything. So today my cousin messaged me and told me not to wear shorts tomorrow. We are all meeting up at her place, and I asked why. He told me his girlfriend finds it uncomfortable that I wear shorts. I don't mind not wearing shorts as it's her house at the end of the day. I ended up messaging her asking to better understand her. She told me she personally has felt uncomfortable when I have worn shorts because of the positions I sit in. She said it shows my thighs and a bit more higher up. Which I was like, what the heck, my shorts go up to my knees, but okay. She didn't know how to tell me, so told my cousin to tell me. She said she wanted to tell me from her perspective, but also said she's not looking there directly, but when seen by accident she's had to look away. What the heck does this mean? My shorts go up to my knees literally. I have worn shorts in front of her several times. I literally wear shorts all the time. I just found it so weird. So I spoke to one of my other cousins. He said that if a girl said me wearing shorts makes her uncomfortable, I need to affirm it and stop wearing shorts. I was like, WTF. He said I'm not being a man, and if I made someone uncomfortable I need to compromise. I said that is this not similar when a guy tells a girl not to wear like a crop top for example, and he ended up saying they are completely different, with crop tops being normalized for girls to show guys like it's natural, etc. He told me to say sorry I made her uncomfortable and all. He was saying that I am not being a man, and if I don't care that I made a girl uncomfortable and not willing to change, then he doesn't know what to say. I was honestly like so baffled, as he just kept saying that I need to change and stop wearing shorts, just deal with it and stuff and say sorry. What do you all think? Aita for completely disagreeing. I am happy to not wear shorts as it's her house end of the day. But telling me not to wear shorts cause you are uncomfortable is crazy, no? Why do I need to change what I wear to accommodate someone else? Am I being the asshole and arrogant here? Edit. Hi all, thanks for the responses. Quite an eye-opener. To clarify couple things. Yes, I do wear underwear underneath. No way on earth that I never don't. A lot of people are calling me the asshole because they think I am showing my junk purposely. Absolutely not. No way on hell. No. That is disgusting and no. Lastly, majority of the comments are saying my genitals may have been showing because of the positions I sit in. However, why I am confused is I have worn those shorts several times in front of my friends and family, sitting on the couch, swing, grass, floor, etc. If my genitals had ever shown, I would be told 100%. I would also 100% know too, because even when sitting in any position, I make sure to adjust my shorts. My family would 100% tell me that they can see. I have had this shorts for time and worn them several dozens of times. No, my genitals are not showing at all. I wear underwear under too. In the case that I am wrong, I have worn this shorts for time. No one has ever told me anything. Just to experiment I have worn that short and sat on my chair across the mirror to see. Even when trying it shows nowhere near my genital area. If anything, the max it shows is my upper quads. Also, recently we all met up and were chilling. There were so many of us and I wore that shorts and sat on the sofa, however no one even said anything and I 100% would have been told. The girls would have mentioned it too 100% but have not even. I asked one of my friends if they have ever seen anything or the girls and he literally said no, they haven't mentioned anything at all. Also, he has sat across me many times and would 1000% tell me literally. I have asked my friend literally and he has said no, like I mentioned. All I was told is, because I have made her uncomfortable, I shouldn't wear shorts. That is all. I have not been told by my cousins that I have ever exposed myself. It is literally just one person, the girl, saying it. This is why I thought it was weird. But everyone, thank you very much for your responses. Will be more mindful when I sit. Stories number 5. Aita for wanting to back out of doing my SIL in favor cause I don't like that she installed cameras to be on the safe side. My wife used to get our niece ready and take her to daycare every Friday since she was off and her sister had to be at work by 6:30 and daycare did not open until 7. My wife's work schedule changed and she could no longer do it. So I offered to change my schedule around to start work at 10. We have been doing this for around 4 months. My SIL has voiced no concerns and when she calls I always answer. We recently found out she installed cameras in her house. When my wife brought it up she told her you never know. I will be honest, I was taken aback cause she has had no complaints in the past but now she wants to have cameras because you never know. My wife did ask her sister have I done anything that made her concerned or worried. She told no, but it was a safety issue. Once again she told my wife you never know. At this point I told my wife I don't want to go into her house. I don't feel comfortable being in a home or around her daughter if she is that concerned. My wife agrees. It is weird also considering I have known her sister for over 16 years. Others think I am blowing out of proportion but I don't like how she assumes the worst of me cause I am male. She told my wife she had no concerns when she was doing it. Update, Aita for wanting to back out of doing my SIL in favor cause I don't like that she installed cameras to be on the safe side. I do appreciate the feedback and differing perspectives. I did speak with my SIL with my wife and to say the least it was enlightening. I did ask my SIL why the sudden urge to install cameras, as she told my wife she said it was for safety purposes since you never know. My wife did push back and asked her RO elaborate as to what she meant. Mysael tried to avoid answering directly, but my wife kept pushing, and finally she did admit she was more comfortable with me changing her daughter unsupervised. At this point I asked Mysael if she truly felt I would harm her daughter. She honestly shrugged her shoulders. This annoyed me, but it did piss off my wife. My wife once again pushed the issue, and it turns out Mysael was never comfortable with me watching her daughter and felt betrayed by my wife because she changed up an arrangement that worked. She said I was far too eager to change my work schedule to take over Fridays. It came off as insistent. I told her yes, I was insistent because I did not want my wife to give up on an opportunity because she felt beholden to an arrangement she made with her. After that exchange I told Mysael I would no longer take her daughter to daycare. This happened on Wednesday. She took off last Friday. So long story short, she never wanted me to watch her daughter unsupervised, found it strange how eager I was to rearrange my Fridays to be with my niece. My wife's family thinks I am being weird and creepy. My wife had one last final conversation with her sister on Friday, and apparently it got ugly since Mysael did call to apologize, and I did appreciate that, but I told either you trust me or you don't. Since she does not, I did recommend me find someone that she does trust so she can be at ease. She tried to give me a sob story how we are being unfair towards her. All she was trying to do was keep her daughter safe. I told her best way for her to do that was to find someone else she trusts to handle Fridays or change her job schedule. I was going to originally offer, as some suggested, she brings her daughter to us before she heads to work, but after the conversation I decided it was best for everyone. I took a step back. I don't know what will come of this in terms of the family, since most think I am being unreasonable, but my wife and I agree that if she is not comfortable with me, it is not our duty to make her comfortable. Stories number 6. Am I overreacting for breaking up with my boyfriend because he came inside me? I, 23F, have been with my boyfriend, 28M, for 2 years. We've never really had any conflicts, and we almost always use protection when having sex. So, what happened was, we were having sex one night and he said something about the condom being uncomfortable and took it off. I was a little uncomfortable with this, but I trusted him. Anyway, one thing led to another and he completely forgot that he took the condom off and finished inside of me. I said something along the lines of, "Did you just do that? Did you really just do that?" And he was silent. I told him to get off me and I ran to the shower. One thing you should know is that I'm about to start college and babies are really not in the cards I want right now. For a couple weeks after, I did not want to have sex because I was taking all the precautions to not get pregnant, and I was overall pissed that he did that in the first place. But now he says I am overreacting about the whole situation and that it is not a big deal. He's been wanting to have sex, but I turn him down because I don't feel as comfortable about it now. And that worsened when I went to the doctor and found out that I contracted an STD. I talked to my boyfriend about this and he says that he didn't have it but also refused to get tested. When I asked him why he wouldn't, he said, "It wouldn't matter anyway." This feels super suspicious to me. I've only been tested once before and I was clean at that time, and I have almost never gone without protection during sex. Even if he didn't have it before the incident, wouldn't it be good to get tested anyway? His refusal to do so and how oddly calm he was about it and tried to move on has made me grown suspicious. I ended up breaking up with him because I feel I can no longer trust him, and I feel he disrespected me by finishing in me and also not telling me about the STD. Am I overreacting? Stories number 7. Got caught shoplifting, and now I deeply regret it. I'm 19. Last night I got caught shoplifting at AutoZone. I was looking for some tools to help my mother fix her car. An employee helped me look for and I found what I was looking for and went ahead and paid with my debit card. I then remembered one of my mom's fog lights had gone out, so I decided to look for some new ones. I saw a few and picked ones out that were $30 for a pair. I then decided to steal them. I obviously got caught and one of the employees asked if I had paid for the thing I actually paid for, so I said yes. Then he asked, "What else do you have?" And I just caved in and apologized and took the lights out of my pocket. Another employee came closer and just told me to leave. I left and told my mother about the situation and she was extremely upset. She yelled at me saying why would I mess up my life for $30 fog lights. I was really bummed out because I knew I brought shame to her. She taught me better. Whatever the consequences are, I'll take. I'm not sure if they'll track me down and try to charge me for the crime, but if they do, I'll accept the consequences. I'm deeply disappointed in myself and I regret it. My mother told me to take this as a sign to change and do better, and I'll definitely do that. I made her a promise I won't do stupid shit like this anymore. Stories number 8. I am 30, got bullied by a rich kid in middle school. Ran into him last week as his boss. When I was 13, I got bullied relentlessly by this kid, Zach, 13, at my school. He was everything I wasn't: confident, athletic, and rich. His parents were loaded, and he never let anyone forget it. I was the shy kid who loved computers and wore the same hoodie 3 times a week. Easy target, I guess. Zach would always mock me for being poor, for not wearing name brands, and for being the teacher's pet. He even made up a cruel nickname that stuck with me for years. Teachers didn't do much. He was charming when he needed to be. I still remember him once throwing my lunch into the trash in front of everyone, just for laughs. Fast forward to now. I'm 30M. I'm the lead software architect at a rapidly growing tech startup. We recently opened a hiring round, and as usual, I was screening applicants for junior project manager roles. Guess who walked in for an interview? Zach. At first, I didn't even recognize him. He looked different. Older, obviously, but also tired. That cocky aura he used to have was completely gone. He had decent experience, but nothing stellar. He was polite. Called me, sir. He didn't recognize me not right away. But when I said my full name, I saw it hit him like a truck. He froze for a second. I smiled, nodded, and continued the interview professionally. I didn't bring up the past. Just asked about his project management experience and thanked him for his time. He didn't get the job, not because of our history. He genuinely wasn't qualified enough. But I won't lie, there was a weird sense of closure in seeing him walk out of that room knowing I had outgrown everything he once used to make me feel small for. I don't hate him. Life humbles all of us eventually. Just felt like sharing. Stories number 9. Professor has been secretly docking points anytime he sees someone's phone out. Dozens of us are now at risk of failing just because we kept our phones on our desk, and I might lose the job I have lined up for when I graduate. My professor recently revealed that he's been docking points anytime he sees anyone with their cell phone out during the lecture, even if it's just lying on their desk and they're not using it. He's docked more than 20 points from me alone, and I don't even text during lectures. I just keep my phone, face down, on my desk out of habit. It's late in the semester and I'm at risk of failing this class, having to pay thousands of dollars that I can't afford for another semester, and lose the job I have lined up for when I graduate. I talked to him and he just smiled and referred me to a single sentence buried in the 5-page syllabus that says, cell phones should not be visible during lectures. He's never called attention to it, or said anything about the rule. He looked so smug, like he'd just won a court case instead of just screwing a random struggling college kid with a contrived loophole. So far I've, 1. Tried speaking to the professor, 2. Tried submitting a complaint through my school's grade appeal system. It was denied without explanation and there doesn't seem to be a way to appeal, and, 3. Tried speaking with the department head, but he didn't seem to care, literally just said, that's why it's important to read the syllabus. I feel like I'm out of options and I don't know what to do. Stories number 10. Aita for yelling that I have nothing to do with my ex's unborn child because I am not the mother. I, 25F, was in an on and off again casual relationship with Jeremy, 27M, for over 4 years. What I mean by that is we were never seriously dating but we were exclusive. So no sleeping with others, and that wasn't because we were planning to be together at the end but to reduce the risk of STDs or pregnancies and paternity questioning. I had met his family a few times. They liked me but I wasn't around them very much. Kinda the point of being casual and everything. Feelings did develop near the end of our on and off again period and we broke up for real for 6 months. He told me he didn't want it to end. I wasn't sure he was serious enough about making a serious relationship work. I told him that. I was open to one but some of his actions made me doubt. 4 months ago he came to me and told me he had worked on himself and he was ready to be a true partner. We talked it out and we got back together for real this time. I spent some time around his family this time and we talked about the future and our goals. 2 months into our serious relationship his ex, from before the start of our original relationship, announced she was pregnant and that the two of them had slept together while he and I were broken up for the 6-month period. He didn't deny it but he said he didn't want her. It was blowing off steam one weekend and how he was still committed to me and there would be nobody else ever because I was it for him. I told him I didn't want to be involved in a baby thing. That he was having a kid and I wasn't and I was out. Since that point he has repeatedly tried to get me to change my mind. The mother of his child has tried to talk to me so she can yell about how unfair it is. And his family have begged me to come back, that they love me and never liked her and how he and the baby need me and they don't want to be left dealing with the actual mother and how good of a mom I would be. I was blocking people all over the place. But in the end I lost my temper and I set up a group chat with all of them on a different number and yelled in a voice message that I am not the mother of my ex's unborn child and therefore I have nothing to do with this baby or the situation and I won't take him back. I won't have anything to do with this, and if telling them all in one place needed to happen then here it was. I stayed in the group for a few hours before growing tired of the mother of the child being outraged that I would speak to her like that, where my ex was pleading and saying I couldn't dump him when he didn't cheat and his family saying how unfair I was being and how needed I was. Now I kinda regret doing it because I wonder if they'll actually leave me alone or still look for ways to contact me, and it might be more pissy than before. Stories number 11. He ignored me for 6 years. Then he died. I didn't go to the funeral. When I was 14, I sat on the edge of my bed with a Bible in my lap and whispered, "God, please let him die in his sleep. Please." I didn't cry. I didn't even feel much. I just wanted the noise to stop. He never hit me. That would have been too easy to name. Instead, he walked past me like I didn't exist. For 6 years, not a hello. Not a goodbye. Not a single direct sentence. He'd tell my mom what I was doing wrong in front of me, but never to me. I was furniture that annoyed him. A ghost that took up space. A reminder of a life he didn't choose, and a son he didn't want. I remember standing in the hallway once when he came home from work. He looked through me. Through me. Like I was made of smoke and shame. He'd slam the cabinet doors if I left a spoon in the sink. He'd take the batteries out of the remote when I touched the TV. He'd roll his eyes when I walked in, then pretend like he hadn't seen me. You learn to hold your breath in rooms like that. You learn to shrink. To vanish in plain sight. To walk softly in your own house like you're trespassing. And I prayed that night that he wouldn't wake up. Not because I wanted revenge. But because I wanted a house that didn't feel like walking on broken glass barefoot. I wanted a mother who didn't look at me like I was the reason he sighed so much. She never said it. But I saw it. Every time she stood next to him like a shadow with a wedding ring. Every time she defended his silence like it was a strategy instead of a sentence. I stopped telling her how I felt. Because she stopped listening the moment he walked into her life. Years later he died. Cancer. I didn't go to the funeral. People called me cold. Said, "You only get one father figure." I just smiled and said, "Yeah." But the truth is, I never wanted him dead out of hatred. I wanted him gone because I thought it might save me. The sad part? It didn't. He left the house, but the silence stayed. It lives in my throat. It curls up in my stomach when someone raises their voice in the next room. It whispers to me when I leave dishes in the sink. It taps my shoulder when I laugh too loud. It follows me into relationships, into jobs, into the mirror. Because no one ever hit me. But he made me flinch anyway, and now? Now I still sit in silence sometimes and wonder if God ever heard that prayer. Not to answer it. But just to notice me at all, because sometimes I think being seen is the only real miracle there is, and I still haven't had one. Stories number 12. Aita for letting my ex's pregnant mistress have her baby shower at my house, then making sure she regretted it. I'll start with this. I didn't plan to be the kind of woman who hosts her replacement's baby shower. But here we are. Mark and I bought this house 12 years ago. We painted the nursery together when I was pregnant with our son. We picked out the ugly tile in the guest bath because it was the only thing we could agree on. Every scratch on the hardwood floors is from our lives, our real lives. Not the one he's pretending to have now with her. Lexi is 26. She was his intern. I don't need to spell out the rest. When I found out, I didn't scream. I didn't throw his shit on the lawn. I just handed him divorce papers and told him I'd see him in court. But because the market's shit and our son's in high school, we're stuck in this purgatory where we trade weeks living here like divorced sitcom neighbors. Then, 3 weeks ago, Mark texted, "Lexi's shower is next month. She wants to have it at the house." I stared at my phone so long the screen went black. When I finally replied, my fingers were numb. "No," he called immediately. "Come on. Her apartment's tiny, and my family's already used to coming here. Your family can meet your bastard at a Chuck E. Cheese," I said, and hung up. But he kept pushing. "You're being bitter. It's one day. Be the bigger person." Fine. I'd be bigger. Just not kinder. The rules. I agreed, with conditions. She does everything. No asking me where the extra chairs are. No borrowing my cake stand. No last minute, "Can we use your Bluetooth speaker?" My spaces stay mine. I changed the code on the master bedroom and bathroom. Everything labeled. I spent a Friday night slapping neon sticky notes on anything I'd bought, inherited, or just loved more than they deserved. "Mine, not yours," on the good wine glasses. "Do not touch, ask your boyfriend why," on our wedding photo in the hall. Mark called it hostile. I called it clarity. The day of, Lexi showed up 2 hours early with her mom and a balloon arch. I was drinking coffee on the porch, watching her struggle to drag gifts up the driveway in heels. "Oh," she said, fake smiling when she saw me. "I didn't think you'd be here." "It's my house," I said. "And my week." The shower was as awkward as you'd expect. Her friends kept side-eyeing the sticky notes. Mark's aunt tried to sneak into my bedroom for a coat, jumped when the knob didn't turn. Then Lexi asked where the serving spoons were. Check the drawer, I said. She opened it to find a single plastic spoon taped to a note, "Buy your own." She started crying. Mark pulled me into the hallway, hissing, "You're enjoying this." "Damn right," I said. "You wanted me to act mature." Mature women don't let cheaters rewrite history. The fallout. His family lost it. His sister called me vindictive. His mom said I was scarring an innocent baby. Funny, nobody cared about my kid's scars when Mark blew up our family. But here's the thing, Lexi chose this. She picked a man who'd cheat on his wife, then expected to play house in that wife's kitchen. If the sticky notes burned her ego, good. Maybe next time she'll think before she fucks someone's husband. So, Aita? Or did they both forget this mess was theirs, not mine, to clean up? Update. Lexi posted a "my baby shower was sabotage" story on Instagram. Mark's begging me to apologize for the tension. Meanwhile, my son told me Lexi keeps complaining the house feels like a museum. Yeah, I said. A museum of my life. Tell her to buy her own exhibits. Update 2, The Reckoning. 3 days after the shower, Mark showed up on my week with a U-Haul. "We're taking my stuff," he said, jaw clenched. "Lexi can't relax here with your energy everywhere." I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "Your stuff." "Sure. Our stuff." That's a negotiation. Turns out, Mark had very specific definitions of what was his. The PlayStation. His. The little cruise at Pots I bought. Suddenly ours. The framed concert tickets from our first date. "You can keep that junk." I let him pack his gym shoes and his ugly recliner. Then I handed him a list. "You forgot these," I said. It was an itemized spreadsheet of every gift his family had given us over 12 years, the silverware set from his parents, the handmade quilt from his grandma. "Technically, these were gifts to both of us," I said. "But since we're being mature, let's split them. I'll keep the quilt. You tell Nana why her anniversary crystal is in a meth head's baby nursery." He called me a bitch. I called a locksmith. Update 3, The Unexpected Ally. Mark's mother showed up yesterday. Not to yell, to apologize. "I didn't know," she kept saying, clutching a photo of my son. "He told us you two were separated before Lexi. He said you were the one who cheated." Classic. I poured her tea in one of the unchipped cups she'd given us. "Check the dates on the hotel receipts in the divorce file." She left crying. An hour later, my phone blew up. "Mark, 8:14 p.m. WTF did you say to my mom?" "Lexi, 8:17 p.m. She just cancelled hosting our gender reveal." I muted them both and opened Zillow. Turns out, fresh paint covers a multitude of sins. Update 4, The Sweetest Revenge. Lexi had the baby last week. A girl. Mark sent me a birth announcement like I'd care. I replied with a screenshot, "The deed transfer confirmation, finalized that morning." "Congrats on the kid," I wrote. P.S. The locks are changing at noon. Say goodbye to your house. My son helped me burn the sticky notes in the backyard fire pit. We toasted marshmallows over the ashes. Final verdict. Was I petty? Absolutely. Was it deserved? Listen, when you steal a life, don't cry when the owner wants the decor back. Aita. Nah. Just a woman who finally learned how to say no with flair. Update 5, The Housewarming. That wasn't. Lexi and Mark moved into a cramped 2-bedroom apartment after I bought him out. Last week, my son came home from his dad's place with a glitter-covered invitation. "They're having a housewarming party," he said, dropping it on the counter like it was contaminated. "Dad said I have to go." I flipped it open. "Celebrate our new beginning," in swirling script, with a poorly photoshopped image of their apartment building. The kicker. The return address was still our old house. Classy, I muttered. My son hesitated. "Lexi's been crying a lot. The baby won't stop screaming, and Dad's always at work." I should have felt smug. Instead, I just felt tired. Update 6, The Unexpected Guest. The doorbell rang at 9 p.m. last night. It was Mark's younger brother, Kyle, the only one in that family who ever treated me like a person. "Hey," he said, shifting his weight. "Can we talk?" He handed me a flash drive. "Mark's been lying about the finances. There's money missing from Mom and Dad's account, the one they set up for your son's college." My blood went cold. "How much?" "Enough that Lexi's driving a new SUV." I poured us both whiskey. "Why tell me?" Kyle looked at the wedding photo still hanging in my hall, the one with the "do not touch" sticky note still defiantly clinging to the frame. "Because you're the only one he's ever been afraid of." Update 7, The Reckoning. Part 2. I met Mark at a diner, neutral territory. He looked like hell. Kyle's delusional, he spat when I brought up the money. That account was always mine to manage. I slid a piece of paper across the table. A screenshot of Lexi's Instagram, showing off her push present, a diamond bracelet with a receipt date 2 days after the college fund withdrawal. Here's the deal, I said. You return every penny by Friday, or I file a police report. And then I call Lexi's very religious parents to explain why their grandson's future paid for her bling. His face did something complicated. You wouldn't. I stood up, dropping a $20 on the table. Try me. Update 8, the wild card. This morning, Lexi showed up at my door. No baby, no makeup, just raw panic. He's cheating, she blurted. There's a 19-year-old at his gym. I found the texts. I almost laughed. And, she shoved a manila envelope at me. The college money's in here. Every dollar. Just, don't ruin his life, okay? I took the envelope. Too late. You already did that when you fucked him in my bed. She flinched. Good. Final update, the end of the affair. Mark transferred the full college fund amount by Friday. I know because I made him send the confirmation to both me and his parents. His mother left me a voicemail sobbing about family and forgiveness. I deleted it. Lexi filed for child support but not custody. Turns out single motherhood wasn't the Instagram aesthetic she'd imagined. Last I heard, she moved back to her hometown, leaving Mark with a screaming infant and a lease he can't afford. Kyle sent me a photo last month, Mark alone at a bar on a Tuesday afternoon, staring into a beer. The caption read, "Karma's a bitch. So are you." Thanks, my son graduates next year. His college fund is intact, though he keeps joking he'll use it to buy a food truck instead. Call it petty sandwiches, he said. The special is a revenge Reuben. As for the house, I sold it. Let some newlyweds make their own memories in those walls. I bought a condo downtown with a view of the river and no room for ghosts. The last box I packed was the wedding photo from the hall. I almost left it behind, until I saw the sticky note still there, faded but legible. Do not touch. I burned it in the new fireplace. Toasted a marshmallow over the flames. Some messes, you don't clean up, you just walk away. Stories number 13. My son wrecked me, in the most beautiful way. My 13-year-old son absolutely wrecked me last night, and I mean that in the best possible way. Every night, like clockwork, we lie down together before bed. It's our routine. He tells me about his day in such detail, from the kid who annoyed him in class to the new song he's into, and then, without fail, he wants to know the schedule for the next few days. He's one of those kids who thrives on knowing what's coming next, who finds calm in predictability. I've come to cherish this little ritual we've built. I'm a divorced dad. That came with its own pain and challenges. But in the midst of the separation and everything life threw at us, I somehow found the secret to connecting with my kids, and I'm holding on to it with both hands. Last night, though, something different happened. As we lay there in the dim light, he looked at me, really looked at me, with this gaze that made it feel like he could see straight through my soul. And then, in the most sincere voice, he said, "Dad, you're the best part of my day. You're the best dad in the whole world. I love you so much I can't even say it. I want to hug you forever." I just stared at him, stunned and overwhelmed. My throat tightened. I managed to whisper, "You can kiss me on the cheek if you want." Without hesitation, he leaned in and did just that. No awkwardness, no teenage embarrassment, just pure love. After I tucked him in and closed his door, I stood there in the hallway for a moment. And then I broke. I cried like I haven't cried in a long time. Not from sadness, but from gratitude. From the realization that somehow, despite everything, I got it right. Years ago, when I was still married, our relationship was strained. He'd barely hold my hand in public. I felt like I was losing him before I ever had the chance to fully know him. But here we are now, closer than I ever imagined possible. Being a father is the greatest honor of my life. And last night, I knew deep down that no matter what else happens, I've already won at life. Stories number 14. Went on a random date today to look at ducks and geese in a pond. I've not been doing well recently, had a breakup, been feeling financially stressed, went to a show last night that completely threw out all the writing I did for it. The show was very bad, I'm just kind of feeling down all around. But today a handsome man I met in my neighborhood took me on a date to just sit on a bench and look at the ducks and geese in a nearby pond. It was so calm and lovely. We made up names for the fowl, listened to a nearby woodpecker, and just, kinda cuddled. He's originally from Dubai by way of Jordan, and I'm a white girl from Brantford living in Toronto. We had nothing in common except for thinking the other was cute enough to go watch ducks and geese together. He has beautiful eyes, a kind disposition, and he made my day. Life is very hard for so many of us, for so many reasons. I absolutely did not want to be seen, but this sweet man was like, hey, I bet you want to see some ducks and geese today, and I very much did. I hope you get to see some ducks and geese today. They're pretty cool. Stories number 15. Aita for skipping my sister's wedding because I refused to wear beige. I, 28F, recently chose not to attend my sister's, 32F, wedding due to her extremely specific dress code, and now, apparently, I've committed a cardinal family sin. Her wedding was black tie, very formal, very curated. The invite came with a whole aesthetic mood board and a color chart. Everyone had to wear either black, white, or beige. Seemed simple enough, until she personally called me and told me I was required to wear beige. Her reason? Black and white are for VIPs only, and she wanted to control the balance of the photos. I thought she was joking at first, but no, she was dead serious. I explained, nicely, that beige makes me look like I've just come back from the flu, and that I'd be fine wearing black or navy if that was a deal-breaker. She refused. Flat out. It's beige or nothing, she said. And then, with a laugh like she'd rehearsed it, if you don't like it, you don't have to come. So I didn't. Now, the family group chat is nuclear. My sister sent me a one-line message after the wedding, thanks for proving you only care about yourself. My mom keeps calling me petty and said I embarrassed the family. My dad is Switzerland as always, quietly neutral and staying far away from the emotional blast radius. What no one seems to care about is how I felt. I wasn't trying to make a statement. I just didn't want to look like a ghost in a dress I hated for the sake of a photo lineup that didn't even include me as a VIP. Also, I wasn't even in the wedding party. I was supposed to sit at a back table with second cousins and coworkers. So it's not like my outfit would have been a centerpiece. I did try to compromise. I offered to wear beige accessories, even a shawl or shoes, but nope, full beige or bust. So now, here I am, labeled the difficult sister who ruined the vibe, and my relationship with my sister is hanging by a thread. But the plot thickens. My cousin, who did go and wore a beige jumpsuit, just texted me that things were way more chaotic at the wedding than they appeared online. Apparently, my sister snapped at a bridesmaid, cried during the reception, and her new MIL was overheard calling the whole event a Pinterest nightmare. And now, word has it she's planning a family dinner next week and wants to talk. I'm not sure if that means she's ready to make peace, or unleash a whole new wave of drama. The days after the wedding were tense. I didn't post anything about it on social media, but a few cousins tagged photos from the event, everyone in black and white, posing elegantly under chandeliers, with candlelight glowing around them. A sea of muted beige flowed around the edges of the photos, with a few family friends in pale dresses that looked more like afterthoughts than fashion choices. A few people DM'd me asking why I wasn't there. I didn't respond. My phone buzzed with messages from my aunt, a couple of my cousins, even my dad, all with varying degrees of, your sister is hurt, and, you could have just sucked it up for one day. But I kept going back to that conversation with her. The way she dismissed me so quickly, telling me I didn't have to come if I didn't like her rule. No discussion. No compromise. It felt less like a wedding and more like a production, and I wasn't cast in the role she wanted. And maybe I didn't want to play it. My mom eventually came over unannounced. She let herself in, she still has a key, mistake, and sat down at my kitchen table like she was staging an intervention. Your sister's devastated, she said. Everyone noticed you weren't there. It was embarrassing. I raised an eyebrow. Embarrassing for who? She's your only sister, my mom snapped. People asked where you were. What was I supposed to say? Maybe the truth. I shot back. That she told me not to come if I didn't want to look like a ghost in every photo. Mom sighed. You made this about vanity. No, I made it about boundaries, I said, trying to keep my voice level. If she wanted her guests to be props in her photos, she should have hired models. I'm not a mannequin. That ended the conversation. My mom left shortly after, muttering something about how I'd regret this one day. Maybe I would. But I doubted it, and then something strange happened a few days later. My cousin Lily, one of the bridesmaids, texted me, okay, so, you were right. Everyone looked sick in beige. I laughed. Then she sent a photo of the bridal party, everyone in identical off-white dresses that blended into the marble walls of the venue. You could barely make out where the people ended and the walls began. I felt like a loaf of unbuttered bread, she added. We joked for a bit, and I felt less alone. But the real twist came when I received an email, yes, an email, from my sister. The subject line was just, "I'm still angry." And the message? Well, let's just say it wasn't quite what I expected. Subject, "I'm still angry." The email wasn't long, but it packed a punch. "I'm still angry that you didn't come. I know what I said, about not coming if you couldn't follow the dress code, but I didn't think you'd actually choose to miss it. I thought you'd get over it and show up. I thought family mattered more than the color of a dress. But now I realize that maybe I was too focused on making everything look perfect. I'm not saying you were right to skip it, but maybe I wasn't totally right either. I guess I just wanted everything to go the way I pictured it, and I didn't leave room for how people would feel. I don't know if I'm ready to talk in person yet, but I didn't want to go without saying something. I just needed you to know how I feel." I sat there reading and rereading her words. It wasn't an apology exactly, but it wasn't just blame either. For my sister, someone who hates admitting fault almost as much as she hates off-center table settings, it was something. I didn't respond right away. I let it sit for a couple of days. I didn't want to fire off a defensive reply or try to match her tone perfectly. I wanted to be honest, not performative. So eventually, I wrote back, "I get why you're upset. I was upset too. I didn't want to miss your wedding. But I didn't feel like there was room for me to exist as myself in your plans. I wasn't asking to wear a rainbow, just something that didn't make me feel invisible. You said family should matter more than a dress color. And I agree, which is why I wish you'd listened when I tried to compromise. I didn't want to ruin your vision, I just didn't want to feel like a prop. That said, I do love you. And when you're ready to talk, I'm here." No response came for a while. Weeks went by. Family group chat stayed awkward, and everyone tiptoed around the subject. I noticed some of the other bridesmaids quietly posted their wedding photos in black and white, likely because beige just didn't photograph well. Then one day, I got a call. It was her. She didn't say hello. She didn't ask how I was doing. She just said, "I looked like a piece of chicken breast in every photo." I blinked. "What?" She snorted. "The beige. I looked like undercooked chicken breast. And don't even get me started on the lighting." And then, just like that, we laughed. Not a full reconciliation. Not a heart-to-heart. But something cracked open, the tension, the awkwardness, the mutual stubbornness, and we let it fall. We met for coffee the next weekend. She still insisted she technically wasn't wrong, and I still insisted she technically was. But we met in the middle, like sisters do when neither one wants to be the villain forever. We didn't fix everything in that one conversation. But she hugged me when we said goodbye. A real hug, not one of those stiff ones you give to coworkers or distant cousins. And as I walked back to my car, I realized something. You can skip a wedding without skipping the relationship. Sometimes the invitation back just takes a little longer to arrive. Stories number 16. Aita for warning my half-sister she won't be invited to my wedding if she continues to push me to ask her mom to walk me down the aisle. I, 29F, lost my mom when I was very young, 4, and my dad met the mother of my half-sister when I was 8. They had my half-sister together and married when I was 10. When I was 13 my dad died. I chose to live with my grandparents and had regular contact with my half-sister, but I did not keep in touch with her mom. My half-sister had her own phone since she was young, so I didn't see a need to have contact with her, and I was never fond of her mom to begin with. I always found her annoying and frustrating to be around. I used to stress being around her because when she'd offer to help dad out with me she would make me late for everything, even school. It was never something she took seriously though, and dad had to stop her helping out. But it bothered her. More that I was so glad she wasn't doing it too. She'd complain about my friends' parents not treating her like my legit parent. I was stuck in a car with her for 40 minutes while she complained about some of them. She said I could start calling her my stepmom instead of dad's girlfriend, which she was by the way, so they'd take her more seriously. Her mom was upset by the fact I didn't like her or want to stay in touch with her. She tried to keep me with her and my half-sister after dad died, but plans were already in place to instruct where I'd go and who would have custody if dad were to die. It upset my half-sister as she got older that I didn't remember much about my mom, and yet I wouldn't let her mom be my mom even once I became an orphan. Eventually we came to an agreement that we didn't have to be on the same side of the debate, but we just wouldn't talk about it. Now my wedding has presented a chance for my half-sister to push the narrative that her mom somehow has this important role in my life and that she should walk me down the aisle since she's the only parent I have left, in my half-sister's mind. I shut that down hard. My half-sister pushed the issue more. She told me I have no valid reason for saying no. I explained that I don't need one. That it's my wedding and her mom isn't even invited. My half-sister said she should be, and she bitched that I put her boyfriend's name on the invite instead of just a regular +1 because she would have brought her mom and her mom would have been there and I would have needed to give her the role. I explained even if she'd done that her mom would have been an unwanted guest and not a parent of the bride and would have had zero role. She has refused to lay off, so I warned her that if she continues I won't invite her to the wedding. My half-sister told me I couldn't leave her off the guest list and I told her I could and would. I reminded her this is my wedding and not hers and she doesn't automatically get an invite. She's saying I'm a cold-hearted bitch and my threat is unfair when she's doing the right thing. I told her we disagree on that. She said this whole issue is my fault and not hers. Stories number 17. Aita for yelling that I have nothing to do with my ex's unborn child because I am not the mother. I, 25F, was in an on and off again casual relationship with Jeremy, 27M, for over 4 years. What I mean by that is we were never seriously dating but we were exclusive. So no sleeping with others, and that wasn't because we were planning to be together at the end but to reduce the risk of STDs or pregnancies and paternity questioning. I had met his family a few times. They liked me but I wasn't around them very much. Kinda the point of being casual and everything. Feelings did develop near the end of our on and off again period and we broke up for real for 6 months. He told me he didn't want it to end. I wasn't sure he was serious enough about making a serious relationship work. I told him that. I was open to one but some of his actions made me doubt. 4 months ago he came to me and told me he had worked on himself and he was ready to be a true partner. We talked it out and we got back together for real this time. I spent some time around his family this time and we talked about the future and our goals. 2 months into our serious relationship his ex, from before the start of our original relationship, announced she was pregnant and that the two of them had slept together while he and I were broken up for the 6-month period. He didn't deny it but he said he didn't want her. It was blowing off steam one weekend and how he was still committed to me and there would be nobody else ever because I was it for him. I told him I didn't want to be involved in a baby thing. That he was having a kid and I wasn't and I was out. Since that point he has repeatedly tried to get me to change my mind. The mother of his child has tried to talk to me so she can yell about how unfair it is. And his family have begged me to come back, that they love me and never liked her and how he and the baby need me and they don't want to be left dealing with the actual mother and how good of a mom I would be. I was blocking people all over the place. But in the end I lost my temper and I set up a group chat with all of them on a different number and yelled in a voice message that I am not the mother of my ex's unborn child and therefore I have nothing to do with this baby or the situation and I won't take him back, I won't have anything to do with this, and if telling them all in one place needed to happen then here it was. I stayed in the group for a few hours before growing tired of the mother of the child being outraged that I would speak to her like that, where my ex was pleading and saying I couldn't dump him when he didn't cheat and his family saying how unfair I was being and how needed I was. Now I kinda regret doing it because I wonder if they'll actually leave me alone or still look for ways to contact me and it might be more pissy than before. Stories number 18. Aita for refusing to babysit my sister's miracle baby after what she did to my dog. So my sister, 32F, had a baby last year after years of struggling with infertility. We were all happy for her. She called him her miracle baby and honestly I didn't mind the attention he got until things got weird. I, 28F, have a golden retriever named Benny. He's 5. Sweetest boy alive. Everyone in the family loves him. Even my sister used to until the baby came along. One time I brought Benny over when I visited. He stayed on his mat, didn't bark or even move. The baby started crying and my sister went, I think he's making the baby nervous, and asked me to put him outside in the middle of winter. I said no and left early. That was strike one. Next time I saw her she told me straight up she didn't want Benny around her son because he's a dog. I said okay whatever and stopped bringing him. But I could tell something shifted. Then one day, I was out of town for a weekend and she begged me to let her stay at my place because hers was getting fumigated. I agreed thinking it was chill. I come home Sunday night. Benny is hiding under the bed trembling, looking all scared. I find out she locked him in the laundry room for 2 days straight because he was staring too much and that made the baby fussy. No food or water bowl, just locked him. I lost it. Told her she was never setting foot in my house again and that she was lucky I didn't call animal services. Fast forward a month, she's going back to work and suddenly I'm her first choice for free childcare. Wants me to watch her baby 2 days a week. I said no. She flipped and called me bitter and selfish. And said I clearly don't understand what it means to love family unconditionally. My mom got involved and said I'm being cruel when I could be helping. But this isn't just about a dog. It's about how she treated something I love without remorse and now expects me to drop everything and help her like nothing happened. Aita for saying no to babysitting my nephew because of what she did to my dog. Stories number 19. Aita for following through on the prenup now that the tables have turned. This is a long story and I am trying to obscure my identity by slightly changing some details, but overall this is accurate to what I'm going through. I, 30F, have a child from another relationship, and while getting out of the toxic relationship with his father I ended up with my current partner, 32M. Now when we first got together there was a major accident that left me bedridden for a few weeks. Think multiple broken bones and surgeries. He told me at this time that he anticipated marrying me one day and would like to move me/my child in. The caveat was that this farmhouse was his inheritance and he wanted to protect it. I only had a vehicle at this time and understood the hesitation to risk something that had been in his family for generations. I agreed. If we got married and it didn't work out, that I would walk away with what I came into the marriage with. A few months pass by and he says to me directly during a conversation about the level of repair this nearly century-old house needed, that if he passed without having biological children with me that the house would pass to his brother and his wife. I agree again. I would have no house if this happened to me, but understand how much this particular home seems to hold for his family. Come to find out that accident I had at the beginning of the relationship was found not to be my fault at all, and those at liability want to settle immediately, in the 6 figures. My lawyers have said they are fairly confident we will win with the video evidence we have, and they are going to be going for the full insurance coverage amount of a few million. Meaning after medical bills and lawyers' fees and taxes I will be financially set for life if I buy a homestead and invest the rest. My partner has suddenly changed his tune and no longer wants us to have a prenuptial at all for our upcoming wedding. On the other hand, I have doubled down and told him I will not be marrying him without one. One that states the home that I will buy with my settlement will be sold when the youngest child has turned 18 and left the home if I die, but we can live together in for as long as I am alive. He can have his family's farmhouse completely separately. He has lost the plot. Accused me of being money hungry and it changed me. I told him this is to protect my children. I have seen how money after one's passing in the family corrupts even the most pious of humans. Am I being the AH here? Stories number 20. Aita for calling my sister a sinful disgrace in front of our entire family and revealing her secret. I, 20F, recently found out that I'm pregnant. My boyfriend, 27M, and I have been together for 2 years. The pregnancy wasn't planned at all, but we were also not taking the steps to prevent it. With that said, we are happy and ready to start this next chapter together. We announced my pregnancy to my family at a small dinner last weekend. This is where my sister, 29F, comes in, who is extremely religious. She's the kind of person who's at church every Sunday, pretty much only reads the Bible and makes TikToks about passages. She constantly preaches about living a pure life and following God, and sometimes will force it into conversation. When I shared the news, most of my family was supportive and really happy for my boyfriend and I. Everyone except her. She immediately went cold and launched into this huge preachy lecture about how disappointed she was in me. She went on about how she expected better of men, how I was living in sin, and how God will judge. Pretty much she was making me feel horrible for not being married while being pregnant. I tried to keep my cool, but she wouldn't stop. She kept ranting on and on. She clearly could tell it was bothering me. Eventually I had enough and I snapped. I figured this was a perfect time to get payback for her shaming me. I went on about how it was hypocritical to call me sinful when she was the one who was a fake, sinful disgrace. She too had a baby out of wedlock, and unlike me, instead of keeping it she aborted it to make sure nobody else knew. The whole room went completely silent. My sister got upset and excused herself from the table and left the house. My mom immediately started yelling at me for bringing up the past and ruining what should have been a happy evening. I honestly don't feel bad though. My sister has been putting on this holier-than-thou act for years, preaching morality while hiding something she's too ashamed to admit. I never planned to out her secret, but she pushed me with her hypocrisy, and I lost it. Aita. Stories number 21. A beggar rejected my food and called me customer. I can't stop thinking about it. So this happened just yesterday, and it's been bouncing around in my head ever since. I was walking home after a long day at work, just trying to make it through the evening rush. I hadn't eaten all day, and all I could think about was the hot takeaway box of fried rice I'd picked up on the way home, chicken, veggies, a little spice, still steaming in the bag. My comfort meal. Anyway, I'm halfway down my usual route when I spot this guy posted up on the sidewalk. He looked rough, tattered clothes, shoes falling apart, sunken eyes. Clearly been on the streets for a while. As I walk by, he motions to me and says, "Hey bro, please. I haven't eaten in days. Anything helps. I'm starving." Now, I'm not made of money. Far from it. But I figured I could share what I had, just trying to be a decent human. So I stopped, opened up my container of still warm fried rice, and offered it to him with a simple, "Here, man. You can have this." He looks down at it. Then he looks up at me, and he says, I don't eat food from customers. Got anything else?" I blink. Customers? Wait, what do you mean, customers. He kind of shrugs and says, yeah. Like, people off the street. You never know where your hand's been. I need something proper, you know. I'm standing there, completely thrown. I just offered him my dinner, the same food I was about to eat myself, and somehow, I wasn't good enough to pass his quality check. I just stood there, stunned. Like, bro, you're out here begging for food, but now we're setting standards. So I said, alright, man. Good luck, and walked off. And honestly, I tried to let it go. Ate my dinner in a nearby park, half laughing, half confused. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. I kept wondering what kind of experiences this guy had to make him this picky about help. Had someone messed with his food before? Was this some kind of defense mechanism? Or was I just dealing with the most bougie beggar on earth? But here's the kicker. Today, I saw him again. Same corner. Same tattered hoodie. But this time, he was holding a Starbucks bag, so now I'm really curious. Did someone bring him that? Did he buy it? Is there some kind of underground homeless Yelp review system I don't know about? I'm tempted to ask. Just out of pure curiosity. Because something about this dude, the way he looked at me like I was the weird one, it's sticking with me. A beggar rejected my food and called me customer. Update. So, like I said, I saw him again. Same corner, same slouched posture, same sunburned hoodie. But this time, he wasn't empty-handed. He had a Starbucks bag in one hand and was sipping what looked like a caramel macchiato. I couldn't help but stare. I slowed down as I walked by. Not in a judgmental way, just curiosity mixed with confusion. He caught me looking and, without missing a beat, said, "Don't worry, this one's from a vendor." "It's all good." I raised my eyebrows. "You get Starbucks often?" He shrugged. "Some folks know how to help, right?" That answer stuck with me for way too long. Right, huh? So my offer of hot fried rice didn't make the cut, but a frappuccino did. I didn't want to argue. I mean, it's his life, his comfort. But something in me just needed to understand. So I did something I normally wouldn't do. I sat down on the curb next to him. He looked surprised at first, like no one had ever bothered to just be there with him. For a second, it was quiet. Then I asked, "Can I ask you something real? Like, no offense meant at all." He nodded slowly, cautious but curious. "What did you mean the other day, about not eating from customers? That I wasn't proper?" He took a long sip of his drink and stared out at the road like he was trying to decide how honest he wanted to be. Then he said, "You're the third person this month who offered me homemade food. First guy gave me a sandwich that had mold on the bread. Second time, let's just say it ended with me throwing up behind that dumpster. I don't eat from strangers anymore unless it's sealed. Nothing personal. Just survival." That hit different. I didn't know what to say for a second. Here I was, feeling rejected and annoyed, and this guy was operating from pure trauma. Not entitlement. Not snobbery. Just self-preservation. And just as I was about to say something real, something honest, he cut in. "But hey, I remember you. Fried rice, right? That smelled legit." He chuckled. I kinda regretted not taking it later. "Just so you know." I smiled, and something softened between us. "Name's Jay," he added, finally reaching out his hand. I shook it. "I'm Daniel." We sat there for another 5 minutes, no agenda. Just two guys on the sidewalk, sharing space in a weird, human kind of way. Update, a beggar rejected my food and called me customer. After that day sitting on the curb with Jay, something changed in me. I kept thinking about what he said, not just the part about the bad experiences with food, but how matter-of-fact he was about survival. No drama, no theatrics. Just a guy who'd learned the hard way how not to get hurt. And somehow, I ended up walking that same route the next evening. I told myself I was just heading home, same as always, but I knew I was hoping to see him. He was there. Same hoodie, worn cap pulled low, but this time, he nodded when he saw me. We didn't talk long. I didn't bring food, didn't offer anything. Just said, "Hey, Jay," and he said, "Hey, Daniel." That was it. A weird, silent agreement between us, no pity, no expectation. But here's where things started shifting. The next few evenings, I kept seeing him. And we'd just talk, little stuff, like the weather, or what time the Starbucks closed. Then bigger stuff. His brother died last winter. His mom used to work 2 jobs. He used to paint murals. That one floored me. I said, "Wait, you paint?" He laughed. "Used to. Got no brushes now. Got no walls." The next day I brought him a sketch pad and some charcoal pencils. Nothing fancy. I left it on the bench without saying a word. Just nodded at him as I walked past. The day after that, I saw him with the pad open. He wasn't drawing yet, just flipping pages. But he looked up at me, grinned, and said, "Still don't trust your hands for food. But maybe I trust them for gifts." That sentence, it stuck with me. He was letting me in, piece by piece. And then, like a switch, he disappeared. 3 days. No J. I checked the corner every night, slower each time. Empty bench. Crumpled paper cup. One evening, I even waited there for an hour, pretending to scroll my phone. Still nothing. Did he move shelters? Did something happen? Was he okay? Final update, a beggar rejected my food and called me customer. It took a week before I saw Jay again. I was just about to give up on ever seeing him when I spotted him across the street, sitting on the edge of a fountain near the library. He looked different, cleaner, more alert. He waved when he saw me, a small but genuine gesture. I crossed over immediately. "Where've you been, man?" I asked, more relieved than I expected to be. He shrugged. "Got into a temporary shelter. Had to go through some intake stuff, meetings, the whole dance. They got this community art program, and they gave me paint." He pulled out his sketch pad, the one I gave him, now filled with half-finished drawings. Faces. Streets. A full 2-page spread of a city skyline at sunset that actually took my breath away. "I showed them some of this," he said, flipping the pages with surprising pride. "They said I could paint a wall next month. A real wall. Mural project for a community center." I didn't know what to say. This was the same guy who once rejected fried rice and called me customer. And now he was standing in front of me, sketchpad in hand, talking about his next steps. Then he looked at me and said, "That sketchpad?" That was the first thing anyone gave me in months that didn't feel like pity. It felt like potential. That hit deep. We sat and talked for another half hour before I had to head out. As I stood up, he said, "I still won't take your food, Daniel. But if you ever want to come help me paint, you bring the brushes." I laughed and said, "Deal." And that's how it ended, not with a dramatic turn or a miracle fix. Just two people, unexpectedly connected, finding a sliver of trust in a world where that's rare. Jay reminded me of something I hadn't thought about in years. Sometimes kindness isn't just about giving. Sometimes it's about sticking around long enough to matter. And that sketchpad? He signed the last page and gave it back to me. "In case I ever make it," he said with a grin. I think he already has. Stories number 22. My famous husband keeps posting me as if we are together. We're separating. He knows this. I've emotionally checked out. I've been done. And yet today, he posts this smiling, adoring tribute to me like we're the perfect couple. Because that's what he does, he curates. He's a musician with just the right amount of edge and just enough family man sprinkled in to keep his audience swooning. He's the hot bad boy who loves his wife and kid. Except, in private, he's cheated on me more times than I can count. Emotionally. Physically. Repeatedly. He's disappeared on weekends. Lied straight to my face. Made me feel invisible. Undesirable. Crazy. But sure, throw up a heart emoji and make it look like love. I didn't comment. I didn't like it. Because I'm not here to play along anymore. He's still performing the love story. That's the thing about the fakeness of internet couples, when one of you wants out, the other just doubles down on the illusion. And now, his fans are in my DMs. People are congratulating me on how strong our love looks, asking about what I did to make it last, and I'm just here, sitting in bed alone with divorce paperwork in one tab and his happy couple Instagram post in another. The gaslighting isn't just inside the house, it's public, viral, and relentless. My friends keep telling me I need to make a statement. But how? He's built his brand on this lie. The wife and muse. If I speak out, I'm the bitter ex. The one who ruined the fantasy. The one who couldn't handle being with someone famous. And the worst part? He keeps texting me like nothing's wrong. Like I didn't cry in the shower last night. Like we didn't have a screaming match 3 days ago where I told him I didn't love him anymore. He even asked me to show up at his upcoming show. Told me to just smile for the camera. Said it would be good for optics. Optics. I'm a prop to him now. Not a partner. Not a person. Just part of the image. And I don't know what's worse, staying quiet, or telling the truth and becoming the villain in his story. My famous husband keeps posting me as if we are together. Update. I didn't show up to his show. I couldn't. Not because I'm still emotional or heartbroken, though, to be honest, it's hard to shake the years of my life spent playing the role of his perfect wife. No, I didn't go because I realized I was done pretending. The more I think about it, the more I realize he's always been a master of controlling the narrative. He's the one who gets to be the artist, the sensitive soul, the misunderstood genius who hides behind a microphone and a guitar. Meanwhile, I was always the background. The wife. The one who smiled at the cameras while he did whatever he wanted behind closed doors. He built an empire on the back of my silence. On our silence. So when he texted me about his show, asking me to come, for the fans, I thought about what I'd really be doing. I would just be another accessory. Another part of his story. And I'm done being part of his story, but even then, I still found myself hesitating. I could hear the whispers in my mind, what will everyone think if you don't show up? What will they say about you? It's funny how deep the brainwashing goes. How every action becomes an echo of what everyone expects from you, not what you truly want. I didn't go. And that was when the real text started rolling in. From him. From his manager. From mutual friends. Why didn't you come? We need to keep up appearances. This could hurt his career. You're making it harder on everyone. Just show up. For the fans. And then, the more aggressive messages came. You'll regret this. You'll make him look bad. You're ruining his reputation. I didn't reply to any of them. For the first time, I just felt free. But of course, freedom doesn't come without consequences. The moment I cut the cord, the floodgates opened. People started messaging me, including a few of his close friends I had trusted. Asking me if we were really getting a divorce. Telling me how I was making a mistake. Even telling me I was just jealous of his career and that he never meant to hurt me. I wanted to scream. He was the one who never meant to hurt me. He was the one who had lied to my face for years, making me feel like I was the crazy one. The one who had me believe I was imagining things when he'd disappear for days. When I'd find evidence of his cheating and confront him, only to be gaslit into thinking I was paranoid. At some point, I blocked everyone. Including him. Including his team. It wasn't about being petty. It wasn't about being angry, though I was angry. It was about drawing a line. A very firm line that I'm not going to cross. A line between who I am now and who I used to be. The hardest part. My kid. Our kid. They're old enough to see the truth. My child is aware of what's going on. And while I've been able to shield them from the drama for now, I can't avoid the conversations we're going to have. The moment when they're old enough to ask me why I stayed in a marriage that was so broken for so long. Why I let him treat me this way, while the world thought we were the perfect couple. But I will answer them. And I will be honest, because if there's one thing I've learned from this entire mess, it's that no one will take care of me but me. I spent too long waiting for him to love me the way I deserved. But now, I'm done. So, what's next? For now, I'm focusing on myself. On my healing. On becoming the person I was before all of this began. And one day, I'll show my kid what strength looks like. Not the fake kind. But the kind that comes when you finally stand up for yourself. My famous husband keeps posting me as if we are together. Update. It's been a few weeks now since I cut him off completely. He's still posting those photos of us together, still playing the part of the doting husband for the public, but behind the scenes, it's quiet. Too quiet. The silence is almost deafening. There are no more texts, no more calls asking me to come back or fix things. I guess he figured out that I wasn't going to be swayed by his usual tactics anymore. The first few days after I blocked him and everyone connected to him were the hardest. I felt that familiar pull to check his social media, to see what he was saying about me, to see how he was curating our story. But I didn't. Every time my hand hovered over my phone, I stopped myself. I reminded myself that this wasn't about him anymore. This was about me. And as hard as it was, I needed to sever the last remaining threads that kept me tethered to him. I started focusing more on the things that made me happy. I went back to hobbies I'd abandoned years ago, like painting and writing. I even signed up for a yoga class, something I always wanted to try but never had the time for because I was too busy managing his schedule, our life, and all the things that came with being the wife of a celebrity. But the real turning point came when I realized just how much I had lost myself in the process. I had spent so much time building his brand, his image, his career, that I forgot about mine. I was the supporting character in my own life. And I refused to be that anymore. I've had some time to reflect on my marriage, on everything that went wrong. It's not just the infidelity, though that was the final straw. It was the emotional neglect, the constant gaslighting, the fact that I had to question my own reality every time something felt off. It was him posting love photos while treating me like I was invisible behind closed doors. What struck me the most in all of this, though, is the fear I felt at first. Fear of being alone, fear of what people would think, fear of the judgment that would come my way. The pressure to be perfect, to live up to the standards of what the world thought our marriage was suffocating. But now, that fear is starting to fade. With every day that passes, I realize that my worth isn't tied to his fame or what others think of me. It's been liberating to finally have control over my own narrative. I'm the one writing my story now, not him. And while things aren't perfect yet, they're better. I've started therapy, and I'm working through the emotional wreckage this relationship left behind. But for the first time in years, I feel like I'm me again. Not someone else's accessory, not someone's wife. Just me. I know people are talking. They always do. But I've stopped caring about the whispers, the judgment. I've stopped trying to live up to anyone's expectations but my own. And as for him, I don't know what's next for him. He still plays the part, still curates his image, still posts about love and family. But that's not my problem anymore. I'm focused on building a life where I'm not afraid to stand up for myself, where I'm not afraid to be honest about what I deserve. One thing is for sure, I'm not going back to the way things were. And if he keeps posting those perfect pictures of us, let him. Let him create his fake love story. I'm living mine now, and this time, it's real. My famous husband keeps posting me as if we are together. Final update. It's been a month since my last post, and things have changed in ways I never could have imagined. When I started this journey of self-discovery and leaving my husband, I thought I was simply taking back control of my life. What I didn't realize was just how much of myself I had lost during our marriage. And how much I had to find again. The first few weeks after blocking him from everything were difficult, as expected. There were days I still questioned if I had made the right decision. But as the days went on, I began to feel stronger. I started to truly see the light at the end of the tunnel. The emotional weight that had been suffocating me slowly started to lift. I didn't feel like I was living in a constant state of anxiety anymore. My therapy sessions helped me make sense of everything. I realized how much I had sacrificed in the name of supporting him, how my identity became entangled with his fame, and how I lost myself in trying to keep up appearances. But no more. I began to rediscover parts of myself that had been dormant for years, like my creativity, my ambition, and my desire to simply live my life without constantly needing validation from someone else. I made a conscious effort to build my own career again, something I had put on hold for so long. I started freelancing, taking on projects I felt passionate about. It wasn't easy at first, but it felt good to take the reins back. And as I became more confident, I started meeting new people, people who respected me for who I was, not just as the wife of a famous musician. For the first time, I felt seen. And then, one day, I saw it. His post had changed. The smiling, curated images of us together had stopped. Instead, it was a vague message about moving forward, about learning from the past, and a cryptic quote about separating with love. It was clear that his fans had begun to notice the change, the lack of us, and now he was adjusting his narrative, shifting the story he had so carefully constructed. He never reached out to me. He never apologized for the lies, the deceit, or the pain. He never acknowledged the years I spent supporting him at the expense of myself. But he didn't need to. I had already moved on. In fact, I realized I had moved on long before I walked away from him. That was the moment I knew I had truly won. Not because I had left him, but because I had finally chosen myself. It was hard to admit, but I wasn't angry at him anymore. I felt nothing. Not sadness, not bitterness. Just, nothing. He was no longer a part of my story. I didn't need closure or an apology from him. I had already healed, and that's when I knew it was time to close this chapter of my life completely. I didn't need to keep watching him fake a love story for his followers, and I didn't need to keep justifying my choices to anyone else. This was my life, and I was finally living it on my own terms. To anyone who's been stuck in a toxic relationship, feeling invisible, or questioning their worth, I want to say, you don't have to stay. You don't have to wait for the other person to change. You can change. You can heal. You can reclaim yourself, and the best part? You don't need anyone's approval to do it. As for him, I'm not sure what the future holds. He'll keep posting, and his followers will keep swooning. But that's his story now. Not mine. Stories number 23. Aita for refusing to accept that my wife actually wants a divorce after I said we're separating 4 months ago. My wife, 30F, and I, 33M, have been married for almost 10 years. We have 2 kids, 5F and 3M. I own a restaurant in our city and she is an elementary school teacher. 4 months ago we had a very explosive argument that ended in my saying that we should separate. I told my family that we are separating that day, and then she would not let me in our house. I have had to live with my parents and she will barely let me see my kids. I have tried to be more involved with helping the kids with bedtime and such when she will let me, but she is so cold to me and doesn't seem to want me around. I have been begging her for us to go to a couples therapist but she doesn't seem to want to at all. I want to work on our marriage and she doesn't. Fast forward to now, she wants a divorce. She has a lawyer and told me that I should get one. She says I have not been a good partner to her for years. She said she is so tired of doing everything in the house and with the kids but she chose that. She is only a part-time teacher, working half a day, and I run a whole business myself. I have a very demanding job that can end up having long hours. It is a small business so I have a lot of tasks and it is demanding and exhausting, so I usually just get home and shower and go to sleep as I have to get up at 4 a.m. the next day. I am working so hard to provide for my family and now the whole thing is falling apart. I love my family and I don't want my kids to go through their parents divorcing. I want her to put her effort in and go to therapy and work together so our marriage doesn't fail. So, am I the asshole? Stories number 24. Aita for asking my boyfriend's niece, 24, F, to not walk around the living room with her thong only while she's staying over. She's staying as a guest for a few days and I randomly go downstairs and see her in her thong making herself a late dinner at 10 p.m. I was shocked to say the least. She said didn't bring any pajamas with her so asked me for clothes a few days ago, and I gave her a t-shirt and pajama pants. After I saw her like that I lost it and told my boyfriend what the heck is this. He says it's his niece and he didn't think it was wrong and she asked if she can stay like that because she didn't have any shorts. Then he should have given her shorts. So I go and tell her that I can bring shorts, and her answer is, my boyfriend, 34, gave me permission and said make yourself feel at home. LOL. I don't think I'm overreacting, this is weird as fuck, right? I should be fuming. I am obviously aware that they are uncle and niece but she's not a child anymore and it is weird. And I feel disrespected because she basically told me it doesn't matter what I think because my boyfriend gave her the go. Like if you're directly going to bed then it's okay but why would you walk around and take the time to cook etc. in your underwear when you're a guest? Stories number 25. I became pregnant at 14 and 17. I'm turning 40 this year and my children are 25 and 22 years old. Some days I can't believe we made it. I am so proud of myself. What a marathon, what a wild ride. I'm not advocating for teen parenting and would not recommend it, it was hard as fuck. Everything was 3 times as hard compared to my peers. Many tears, breakdowns and secret shower crying, but we made it. We made it by determination, hard work, perseverance and education. All 3 of us have degrees, well-paying jobs and we own our own home. Some days I'm just like WTF did I, we just do. I'm just so proud of myself and want to scream it into the void. Stories number 26. Girl was messaging guys on Hinge while she was on a date with me. For context, we're classmates at the same medical school, took a girl out on a date to a pretty solid restaurant. For most of the night, we were having a great time and laughing. After about 3 hours at the restaurant, we decided to go to a bar that she suggested. The place had a decent amount of people, but wasn't all that great in my opinion. I still tried to make the most of it. While at the bar I noticed that she's responding to people on Hinge message during our date. After the 3rd or so time seeing her do this, I basically called it and asked her, so, is Hinge treating you well? I was honestly trying to get to know her and see where things go, but I honestly found that to be so disrespectful that I just couldn't take her seriously anymore. She seemed a bit annoyed and embarrassed. She asked me why was I looking at her phone. By this point, I had about 3 espresso martinis in me so honestly I just didn't care anymore, and decided I was going to have my own fun by shooting the shit, treating it like a platonic hangout, since there was no way in hell I'd let this move beyond that. By the way, you know virtually every girl I've been on a date with has talked about that manifesting and law of attraction thing that you mentioned, right? Thanks for bringing me here, this is the perfect place to take a girl out on a date. I wasn't consciously intending to, but I think some of the stuff I said may have hurt her feelings. She ended up getting upset saying I was putting her in a box with every other girl and was laughing at her. And that she regrettably said far too much tonight, our school is filled with drama and so we spilled tea to each other. At my suggestion, she called her Uber and left shortly after. I ended up walking home. I remember sometime during the date, while we were at the restaurant, she asked me what my attachment style was, because of course she did, and I said avoidant. I was quasi-joking, but I do think there was some truth in that. I honestly think a lot of people aren't shit these days and I'm not as emotionally available anymore. And that date was a perfect example of why. I ended up spending about $200, and I wasn't even given the basic courtesy of not being blatantly treated like another option. Mind you, I'm a medical student, so it's not like I'm exactly rolling in the dough right now. Honestly though, I'm not even sad, I'm just extremely annoyed. It's not the money either, it's the fact that I could have instead used the time she wasted, studying. In medical school, there's not enough time, and so if you make time to see someone, it's a huge deal, but she wasn't worth it. In the past, this experience would have put me in a bad headspace. But I've grown immensely these recent years. I'm in a great position both emotionally and professionally. Without going into details, there's a high chance I end up becoming a plastic surgeon, and I am excited by the future. With that said, I might actually unironically be avoidant now because there's so many people who treat people as though they're disposable these days, and I know I deserve better. For those of you who read this, thank you. TLDR summary: took a med school classmate on a date, spent good money and time, and we had a great time at first. But at the bar she suggested, I noticed she was replying to Hinge messages during our date. I called it out with some sarcasm, and from that point on, treated the rest of the night platonically. She got upset when I made some comments that lumped her in with other girls. She left soon after. I wasn't hurt, just annoyed. In med school, time is precious, and I could have been studying. I'm in a good place in life, emotionally and professionally, and this just reaffirmed that I value myself too much to waste time on people who treat others like they're disposable. Stories number 27. My, F29, grandpa passed away today and my partner, M34, decided to go out for dinner. How do I tell him that I am really hurt by this? My grandpa passed away today, he lives in another country, so unfortunately I cannot attend the funeral or be with my family. My partner and I had a dinner reservation I was looking forward to the last few weeks, but given today's events I don't feel like going out. My partner, saying that it would be rude to stand up a reservation, there was no phone number to cancel it, decided to go to dinner on his own. This is making me reconsider my relationship. Do I really want to be with someone who even thinks about going to dinner on a day like this? I am incredibly disappointed and sad. He asked me after he got ready if I am okay with him going. I should have probably said no, but I was just so astonished and upset that he was even considering it that I didn't want him around anymore, so I said, I won't say no. Anyway, he ended up leaving. Now I am alone and sad. Stories number 28. I get that being laid back is part of the charm of southern small towns, but holy fuck, it's annoying when I'm only in town for a few days and have shit to do. I grew up in a small town in the south, and moved to a major city in the northeast some 30 years ago. I've come back once per year ever since, to visit relatives. Every time I return, my relatives accuse me of being too much in a hurry to do everything, and I'm taken aback by how slow and unconcerned everyone here is. But I guess that's a part of the charm of a southern small town. But this week I'm trying to help a relative get some things done around her house, and this laid-back attitude everyone has is keeping me from getting anything done. This elderly relative has come into a rather large inheritance and needs some work done on her house. I flew in because some of that work was supposed to be done this week. While I was here, I was going to coordinate getting some of the other work done, but nothing has gotten done. The construction people are delayed on another project. Okay, that's understandable. But they cannot give me a time frame for when they'll get to this project. Everyone else I've called has been non-committal about times, too. Even things that should be easy to predict, like when they can deliver a new fridge that I ordered. The fridge is in stock. It's literally the floor model. It's paid for. They have a delivery truck and crew. They need to bring it about 2 miles down the street. They'll get to it when they get to it, seems to be their attitude. It's nice if you live here, I guess. But it's infuriating when you're only in town for a week, and trying to help an elderly relative get shit done around the house. Stories number 29. Aita for not inviting my ex-husband to my wedding and getting upset when my daughter said she won't come because of it. I'm 46 and getting married this summer to a man I've been with for 2 years. I was previously married, and my ex-husband and I divorced 5 years ago. We are civil, but we are not friends. We only really communicate about our daughter, who is 17. Things have been peaceful between us, but we live separate lives now. When planning this wedding, my fiancé and I decided we didn't want any exes there. Not because of drama, just because it felt inappropriate. We wanted the day to be about our relationship and our future, surrounded by people who support that. My ex and I had our time. That chapter of my life is closed. I didn't think this decision would be controversial. My daughter found out her father wasn't invited and got really upset. She told me that if he couldn't be there, she wouldn't come either. I was shocked. I told her this day isn't about her father, it's about me and the man I am building a life with. She said she didn't want to celebrate something that excluded her dad, and that it felt like I was pretending he didn't exist. I told her that was not true, but that he does not belong at my wedding. I never said she couldn't have a relationship with him, but I do not want him present at one of the most personal moments of my life. She stood her ground and said she wouldn't attend. I got emotional and told her it felt like she was punishing me for the divorce, even though I have tried to be nothing but fair and supportive of her relationship with both of us. My fiancé is also hurt. He has always treated her with care and respect, and this has put a huge strain on what should be a happy time. My parents think my daughter is being dramatic and selfish, but part of me wonders if I really am being unreasonable. I love her and want her there more than anything, but I do not feel comfortable changing my boundary to please someone else, even if that someone is my child. Stories number 30. Aita for wanting my girlfriend to move her dog to a different room at night, even though it's been affecting my sleep. My girlfriend, 32F, and I, 31M, recently moved in together. We've been dating for about a year, and she's amazing in so many ways. But ever since we moved in, I've been struggling to sleep due to her dog's snoring. The dog sleeps in our room, right next to the bed, and snores loud enough to keep me up even with a white noise machine right next to my head. I've brought it up to her a few times, not dramatically, but just saying that I'm having trouble sleeping and wondering if there's a way we could try having the dog sleep in a different room. Her answer has basically been no. She has a very strong bond with the dog, 8 years old, and she says she doesn't feel right making the dog sleep somewhere else. To be fair, I've made a few changes myself, and she has been very accommodating. We keep the room colder for me, we run white noise, albeit because of the dog, and obviously she's sharing her space with someone else. I get that this is a big adjustment for both of us. But I can't shake the feeling that my needs are equally important, or less, than her dog's. For context, I have a cat that sometimes sleeps with us, and I communicated that if needed, I'm more than happy to keep him shut out of the room at night. She's allergic. I said that if the roles were reversed, I'd prioritize her sleep over my pet. She said that wasn't a fair comparison, implying I didn't understand the depth of her relationship with her dog, or that my relationship with my cat paled in comparison. I'm not asking her to get rid of the dog. I just want to be able to sleep, and to feel like my needs matter more than the needs of a dog. Much like I believe her needs matter more than the needs of my cat. So Aita Reddit, very early on, she told me sleeping in the same bed was non-negotiable. So for everyone suggesting sleeping in a different room, that's been shut down. Stories number 31. My 23F, partner, 26M, stormed out of our apartment after I told him I couldn't give him the support he wanted right now because my friend just died. Help. Okay, so it's totally okay if you go to your partner to talk about things that are upsetting you. Same for them coming to you. I get it, it's normal to do that. What my boyfriend of 2 years does is a bit much. Literally, we were having a completely normal conversation. We were talking about a TV show we really enjoy after I had just gotten off of a 12-hour shift. I just wanted an easy evening, and I told him that. I told him that right now I don't have the mental space to deal with anything else on top of what I already am dealing with. A friend of mine just killed herself not even 2 days ago, and I'm a nurse, so I'm exhausted on top of everything else. It was cool and chill until I stopped talking to turn on said show for us to watch. Then, out of nowhere, he started talking about how much he hated his dad. This would be fine if it didn't happen every time we spoke. Like, even on the day I found out my best friend in the entire world killed herself, he started talking about his dad and about how much he doesn't like him and how he doesn't feel respected by him and about how much it sucks that his dad won't change. I get it, not having a good relationship with a parent is hard and I give him the space to talk about it usually, but I just can't handle it right now. Literally I got off the phone with my friend's sobbing mom and I was in a weird foggy headspace where nothing felt real. I told him what was up, he said sorry and hugged me, and then not even 15 minutes later, the same conversation that we've had a million times came up again. I ended up just sitting there barely paying attention while he talked at me for over an hour before I excused myself and took a bath. I told him very bluntly tonight that I really just need a few days to mentally recover, and I don't believe I'm in the space to comfort him the way he needs, and he totally flipped out on me. He called me a bitch, told me I was completely selfish and that he needs to talk about his dad so he doesn't obsess over it. He told me I don't understand what he's going through because I never had a dad in my life to begin with. I got defensive because that comment hurt my feelings, which made everything worse. I told him that, yeah, I didn't have a relationship with my dad but I don't spend every hour of every day talking about it. He ended up screaming at me that I need to shut my fucking mouth and he hit the wall beside my head. Then he got his car keys and drove off, leaving me there. He still isn't back and it's 1 a.m. His location is off, he hasn't returned my phone calls. All I got from him was a concerning text message around 11:30 saying, "You're completely unempathetic to what I'm going through. I hope you think about your actions. I don't know what to do going forward from here." I want to have a conversation with him about all of this when he gets home, but I don't even know where to start. This is the first time in our entire relationship where I've told him I don't have the mental space. This is also the first time in our relationship where he stormed out like this. I feel guilty because I know the relationship with his dad upsets him, and I absolutely shouldn't have gotten defensive, but I just don't have it in me to offer comfort. Is there any other way I can say to him that I don't have the space? Edit/update. I'm not going to lie, the moment comments started coming in about abuse, I felt sick. Luckily the panic I felt lit a fire under my ass. I freaked out, spam called my brother at like 2 in the morning to wake him up, grabbed my basic essentials and a few bits of clothing and left. I'm staying at my brother and his husband's house right now because that's what they told me to do. I turned off my location, I haven't returned his calls or texts. He got home an hour ago and started spam calling me when he realized I wasn't there. He's throwing out a lot of apologies and begging right now and I feel completely overwhelmed with guilt and this need to be there for him. But I don't want to be the thing he hits next. I just want to say I am eternally grateful for everyone here. And I'm grateful for my brother who was absolutely horrified when I told him what happened and opened his home to me. I'm going to talk to my mom and we're going to figure out a way to get me out of there and away from him permanently. Thank you all so much again. I'm going to get some more rest, I just wanted to let everyone know I was safe. Update, my 23F partner, 26M, stormed out of our apartment after I told him I couldn't give him the support he wanted because my friend died. Help. Hi, I just wanted to come on here to say one thing, everyone who said he's abusive was completely correct. These past 48 hours have been nothing short of a nightmare. My now ex-BF started with extremely apologetic texts, telling me how he never meant to react like that he'll get therapy, that he'll do anything if I just come back home. Once those didn't get a response, he started getting desperate. There were a lot of threats of suicide, he told me he needed me to drive him to the mental hospital because he didn't trust himself. At that point I called him and I told him I'd call a welfare check for him, but I won't be driving him anywhere. Then he got mean, telling me that I should consider myself lucky that he loves me because no one else ever will. He accused me of sleeping around, he told me that my friend killed herself because I neglected her just like I'm neglecting him. That shit broke me. I told him that we're done and that I need to come get my stuff, so he needs to be out of the apartment. I also told him that I wasn't coming alone and that my brother and my BL were coming to help me. I went to get my things earlier today while he was at work. He trashed my apartment. There were holes in the walls. He destroyed all my clothing. He tore up photos. My makeup is ruined. Anything that he thought might have sentimental value to me is destroyed. Fuck man, I took photos of everything. I don't know what to do about the damage to the actual walls of my apartment or what to do about the lease. I'm thinking of filing a protective order against him in case he starts showing up to my job. I'm just done. I'm checking out for a while and I'm going to focus on restarting and getting myself back together. Stories number 32. Boyfriend won't help with anything. Boyfriend and I have lived together for 2 years. I have begged him to help me do dishes or anything to help me. I have 2 jobs. He has 1. He expects that I'll wait on him hand and foot like bringing him a plate after I've cooked the meal. After the meal, I have to collect his plate and clean up the mess because he won't help clean or do anything. I've tried to talk to him about it. He just gets defensive and tells me he's not doing it. With his card didn't work. I took him where he wanted or needed to go. He expects me to do for him all the time, but can't do anything for me. What do I do? Update. I told him how I felt and he told me, I'll just move out since I'm so shitty, and that was all. Can I change the gas bill to being in my name not his or does he have to do that? Stories number 33. Aita for going out to eat when my husband is working late shifts. My husband and I work different shifts. I worked first shift and he works a late second shift. So we don't often eat dinner together because he leaves for work right before I get home and he gets home from work after I am asleep. We also have very different tastes in foods. He has a more basic, American food-based diet and he also loves seafood. I love foods from other cultures, but I don't like seafood. Because of this, when we are home together we cook different meals and eat it together. If I make something he likes, I'll ask if he wants some. If he makes something I like, he does the same. But we always eat together on our days off, whether it be eating out on a date or eating cooked food at home. We've been doing this for years and it's worked. But since we work different shifts, 5 to 6 days per week, I am eating dinner alone. I usually cook, but a couple times per month, I go out to a restaurant that serves food he doesn't like to have dinner. When we are talking later, I usually tell him how I had something from a restaurant and he asks how it was and I tell him. No biggie. The other day I was out trying a Peruvian restaurant recommended by a coworker. My husband and I had looked at the menu and he didn't see anything he was particularly looking forward to on it, so I added it to my list of places to go when he works. And I went that day. He got out of work early and called me and I told him where I was. And he got mad. I finished up and went home and he was upset and asked how long this has been going on for. I was confused because he knows I do this. But apparently he thought I did pickup or delivery. I tend to eat in because I don't want dishes at home. He also can't really explain why he is so mad, but it seems he's mad I'm out dining alone. I just go out, get food, and read while I wait and eat. Then I come home. It's always food he won't like as well, so I go alone so I can have it. He hasn't been really talking to me since it happened. The conversations are short and cold and it makes me feel like I did something wrong by doing this for years and not specifying I eat in the restaurant to do it. He has never acted this way about anything else, he has always been very kind and willing to work through any issues we have. So I am not sure what's different with this. Aita for going out to eat alone and not specifying to my husband that I ate in the restaurant. Stories number 34. Aita for telling my dad he has to decide between me attending his wedding and accepting I won't take part in the family unity ceremony or accept I won't be there. My dad's engaged to his partner of 2-ish years. They moved in together last month and their wedding is in December. 17 am dad's only bio kid. His almost wife has 3 kids of her own. Her kids are younger, like under 10, maybe they're even all under 8, I'm not that sure. They decided they want to do a family unity ceremony and have it be about becoming one family instead of the 2 of them being a married couple. His future stepkids are excited by the idea and want to take part. I don't and won't take part. I already explained to him that I'm not interested and can't be talked into it. He asked me why and pushed for me to reconsider. He told his wife and she's freaking out because her kids have this idea that they'll get a big brother out of this marriage, and my dad and her told the kids will be real siblings once the 2 of them are married. All of this despite the fact I really don't know her or her kids. I have really only spent any real time with the kids twice and it was more me trying not to be a dick than me wanting to spend time or get to know them. I think that, and I think that's obvious because I don't know their actual ages. Some background to explain some relationship dynamics because I'm sure there are questions. My dad raised me alone. My mom took off when I was less than a year old. I don't remember her. I don't remember her being around. Her family wasn't around or in my life either. I didn't have a lot of family besides my dad growing up. Except for one of his siblings. And for most of my life Dad was a good dad. But when I was maybe 11 he started preparing me for the fact he wanted his own life and travel the world when I turned 18 and I'd be on my own. He talked about how I should not expect to see him very often and to expect we might not see each other for years sometimes, and how he doesn't want to be tied down until he dies. That he would call or answer calls when he wasn't busy with life. He said some stuff that made me believe he resented the fact he raised me alone and had to change his life for me. He never actually let up on that. He talked about it so much that we started to fight and I told him I got it and he was done being a dad at 18 and he told me I was being dramatic. I argued that he told me I could go 5 or maybe even more years without seeing him and he didn't want to be tied down. That he might even ignore calls so he could live life. I told him that sounded like he wanted to stop being a dad. He told me I focused on the wrong parts. When we argued about it other times he said that he wanted the life he missed out on and he wasn't waiting around for me to be ready. That I'd land on my feet eventually and I wouldn't be his kid anymore, I'd be his peer. Which he then said I picked up wrong, but basically for years I have been prepared to leave at 18 and not have my dad in it. Then he met his almost wife and all that talk about traveling the world was gone. He started to become a dad to her kids. He was spending time with them and building a life with them. Eventually he tried to include me, but that was only really in the last 4 or 5 months. But I've ignored it. I did babysit twice for them. Once when his almost wife was rushed to hospital and the second time when his almost wife had a follow-up surgery for health issues she has. My dad has tried to argue that our family is growing and I should be trying harder to be included in it. I told him that won't happen. And if he wants whatever half-assed relationship he planned to have with me before then he needs to accept that. That I'll come to his wedding if he wants me there as long as he accepts I won't be a part of that ceremony, and if he can't accept it then I won't go and he'll need to accept that. His almost wife heard us talk it out and she said I'm not taking the 11 good years into it and I'm punishing her children for my dad not being perfect and that isn't fair to them. She told me a good person would be glad dad decided to stick around and love the new people, especially the kids, and want better for them. Ida. And for full disclosure I have about a month to go until I'm 18 and my plan is to move out that day. Update, Aita for telling my dad he has to decide between me attending his wedding and accepting I won't take part in the family unity ceremony or accept I won't be there. I debated posting my update and I still might chicken out, but I'll write it out and see whether I post or not. I know people wanted an update and I was asked to talk more about what my plans were. I shared some details in my original post, but things have changed because I moved out. Technically kicked out. On the day I made my post I had plans to sleep at a friend's house. Once I got there my dad sent a text saying his partner was rushed to the hospital again and he needed me to babysit again. I told him no once and that was it. A few hours later my dad asked where the hell I was and why had I said no when this was an emergency. He sent multiple texts, but when he realized I really wouldn't babysit and had stayed wherever the hell I was, he went off on and he told me if I won't babysit and be there for the family then I better stay gone. He texted me the next morning, yesterday technically, and said I was not living under his roof after that stunt and to stay the fuck gone. I knew he meant it, so when everyone was out I went to the house and grabbed everything I had prepared to leave with when following my plan exactly. That included all the important documents I had, clothes and anything I bought or that was given to me by people who aren't my dad. It was basically all ready to go anyway and I got in and out without a fight. My friend's parents are letting me stay until I can follow through with my original plan, which was to get somewhere with a friend locally until we all graduate, and then some friends and I will be moving state. We've been working on this for a long time now. Honestly, I have been working my ass off to save money to be able to leave regardless of whether I had help from friends, but having them definitely helps. My dad sent more texts since I grabbed all my stuff. He tried to guilt and shame me and talked about how much the kids needed me and I wasn't there. But he also let out way more of his resentment toward me and it confirmed what I already knew about him. He doesn't regret the way he treated me since I was 11. He meant every word he said. And that he expected me to pay him back for raising me, but I won't. I'm not staying to be treated like shit. He still wants me out of his house and he reminded me that I was not welcome back. That he better not come home to find me there ever again. So that's my update. It's been a crazy day / couple of days and I got so many comments on my post. Way more than I expected. I know a few people tried to convince me that he really did love me and didn't resent me and was trying to make it up to me. But after all this I'm more convinced he resents me and the trying to include me lately was an act to make me someone who could do stuff for him. I don't believe I ever had the dad I originally thought I had. Because I don't think an actual good and loving dad would shut it all off one day for no good reason. Things have changed a little, but I'll keep working toward my plan. I'll also make sure I make it up to my friend's parents because I know this was unexpected for them and I'm grateful they let me stay. Stories number 35. Aita for not letting my wife's AP go to her funeral. My wife passed away. She was in a car accident. We had separated for a few months, and this was due to her wanting to be with her AP partner. They had been together for about a year and a half. They told me they had been genuinely in love. The divorce hasn't been finalized, so legally speaking, I am responsible for my wife's body. We have 2 kids. Both of them in their teens. They have been a mess. I can't say I've been much better. At one point, I was so angry at my wife that I wanted her to get hurt. Now I find myself wishing she was still here with me and our kids. I've been making arrangements for the funeral, and the AP has reached out to me on social media. He's been asking if he could know if we are gonna have a funeral or a memorial service or something. I told him to fuck off. I keep justifying this. I'm trying to keep my family from falling apart, and I've been dealing with the funeral costs. There's just so much I need to do, but I'd be lying if I said part of me didn't wish for this guy to hurt. Edit, AP means affair partner. This is the guy my wife had been cheating on me with for over a year. We had the funeral, and it didn't really go well. Honestly, against my better judgment, I decided to let AP know about, on the condition that he would promise me to stay away from my kids and not make a scene. I told him he needed to stay away from everyone and not let himself be known. No one really wanted him there. The funeral was peaceful at first. I didn't give any sort of eulogy. I really couldn't bring myself to. Both my kids did, and so did my wife's sister and parents. When things were dying down, my daughter asked if she could stay with her mom's gravestone for a bit. I, of course, told her it's okay. She asked me to come with her, which I did. I asked my son if he wanted to come with us. He said he wanted to stay with Grandpa, my mom's dad, for a bit. That's when things went wrong. My wife's sister came to get me, and my wife's parents were upset when they saw AP. I'm not really sure what happened, but my wife's dad was calling him out. AP tried to argue back. I stepped in and refused the situation. I told AP to get out. He did. My wife's parents were incredibly upset with me for letting AP into the funeral. My son was clearly shaken by this. My daughter thankfully didn't catch any of this, but I think she is also upset by this. I regret letting AP know. I don't know when my wife's parents, which I consider family, will talk to me again. My son seems to be disappointed in me. Honestly, my wife's sister has been the only one who's been supportive. It was stupid. It was just stupid. Edit, something that kept coming up. AP means affair partner. Sorry, I have been spending a lot of time in online spaces dealing with my wife's betrayal. These kinds of terms just kind of stuck with me. Stories number 36. I want to leave my GF for her, apparent, medical condition. I have been with my GF for around 3.5 years and she's great. She's loving, caring, smart, the whole package. We were in a long-distance relationship for around 3 years. We recently moved in together and I noticed a lot of things that shouldn't affect me but they do. The shittiest thing about these things is that they're not in her control, and I feel like a horrible person for punishing her for it. I am 90% sure she has PCOS. She has almost all the symptoms, very irregular periods, acne, inability to lose fat, especially around the belly, even when she loses weight, body hair on chest, butt, back etc., and an extremely sharp pain and discomfort during sex. Her acne and body hair don't really affect me that much. However, the pain she feels whenever we try and have sex, likely a cyst, is ruining our relationship. I feel like shit every time I think this, but we have never had sex, and maybe never will. Whenever we try, she begs me to not go further than the tip because of how bad it hurts. Her weight affects me a little bit considering I myself am a relatively fit guy, and have been going consistently to the gym since I was 15, and she has tried to lose her weight before, but it doesn't work and she eventually gives up and goes back to her old eating habits. She is extremely emotional, which I knew before moving in with her, even though it is worse now that we are together IRL, and she gets extremely depressed whenever we fail at having sex, or she's unable to lose weight. I have always been a supportive BF, and have never made her feel bad about any of this. I don't want to hurt her, which is why I've also never brought up the fact that she may have PCOS. Not directly OFC. I have told her to get checked by a gynecologist, but she just doesn't want to. She has also considered the possibility of her having a hormonal disorder like PCOS, but the only time she's ever mentioned it, she broke down and cried for hours before I came home and calmed her down. I love her and that's what breaks my heart about all of this. I know that, if I truly loved her, I wouldn't care about this and support her unconditionally, but I've tried and I just keep thinking about it over and over again. Stories number 37. Boss said we can't drink water at work. Period. Location, Orange County, CA. Working at a grocery store with no union. I got called into the office where my employer proceeded to degrade my work and pointed out my clerks were wasting time drinking water. We're legally allowed 2 15-minute breaks before and after lunch. I found it unusual that he would point out that it's not illegal to deny us water breaks, as in 5 to 10 seconds or however long it takes to drink water. In my 8 years working at this company that was never an issue, but suddenly today it was. I've been denied my 15-minute breaks before as well, more so that I was accused of not working, which yes, because I'm allowed to take breaks. So I'm wondering, is this legally allowed? I'm leaving that place and never looking back, but I would like to report this man for abusing his employees. Do I have something, or it is what it is? Stories number 38. My younger sister wants to bring her first boyfriend home. So I just learned my lil sister, 15 years old, has a boyfriend, 15 to 16 years old, the first one that I'm aware of. I asked her directly cause I had my suspicions and she confirmed it. We've a good open relationship so we're not that secretive to each other. From what I've gathered it's nothing official, they've just been talking for a month now and she wants to bring him over next week when our parents are out. How should I act? Should I be defensive about it? Should I give her the talk? I don't want to tell my parents because that seems like a breach of confidentiality. I guess I should be cool about it, but it still kinda makes me uneasy, as I know very little about him and what intentions he may or may not have. I'm a 21 MBTW. Stories number 39. Boomer gets mad because I didn't call her at her right appointment time. I stood up to her. Back when I worked at the doctor's office. A haven for boomers to boom. I called back a patient, get them to their room, and go back to the reception desk. When this boomer lady is landing at the desk, all huffy. Boomer, why did you call that patient back and not me? Me, because he was next on my list. Boomer, but my appointment is at this time. Me, okay, but that other patient was next on my list. And his time was earlier. Boomer, but it's my time. Me, ma'am, do you see all these patients here? You're not the only one here, and his time was earlier. We call the patients based off their appointment time. We are running behind, please be patient. Boomer, this is totally ridiculous. I've been coming here and seeing this doctor for years. Me, okay, we're still running behind. Boomer, Will, you're just not doing your job right. This made me really mad when this boomer said this. Me, okay, you know what? No, you do not speak to me that way. You are not the only one here. we are doing our best. Sit down, and wait. Boomer sits, and mutters something nasty. Me, and you can stop with that attitude too, and if you keep carrying on like this, I'm going to ask you to leave. Boomer shuts up, and I make one of the MAs take her back. My manager asked what happened and I told her that the woman was very nasty to me, and I will not be talked to like that. Never saw the Boomer lady again. Maybe they refused to let her come back. Message of the story, stop being entitled. Stories number 40. My GF went berserk on me. 2 days ago my GF, F19, of 5 months and I, 21M, were walking around Fred Meyer's, Kroger to some, and she saw a girl that asked for my number in the past and she asked me if I thought she was pretty. I said to my GF that I thought she wasn't OFC, and I said that my GF was prettier. Apparently this was the wrong answer as she proceeded to be rude to me saying, "Oh, so you think she's pretty," and I said no. She then left and decided to call the jewelry store that the girl worked at to hear what she sounded like. I told her that was unacceptable and ridiculous and she began to cuss me out, then I told her I was breaking up with her. Later that day she came over after I told her not to and I stayed in my car while she was outside of it screaming at me, cussing me out. She began to say, "You never loved me, you used me for sex," and things of that nature. She also started banging on my window and tried sticking her arm through the crack of my window trying to open the door. The next day she started to apologize profusely and she was clearly very distraught about the whole thing. I told her I'd stay with her but I really don't feel the same after all that happened. I just really need advice and other opinions about the whole situation. Stories number 41. I, 23M, am getting extremely tired of my fiancé, 28F, pressuring me into life-changing decisions. My fiancé and I have been dating for just under 1.5 years. She's been pressuring me into these huge, life-changing decisions without letting me get my opinions out. She pressured me to propose before I was ready by planning our wedding before I ever popped the question. Her last surviving grandparent went into hospice, so I wanted to work with her on that one, and is now pressuring me to have a kid. I completely understand her thoughts around her biological clock, but we physically aren't ready. We're still not married, we make maybe $50,000 a year combined, and she's trying to argue that we'll be moving into her dad's house, so we'll be able to afford a kid, which I highly disagree on. Every time I try to voice my own thoughts and concerns, she shuts down and just says, "Whatever, forget about it, you don't even want a kid," etc. She does this for every argument, and I end up having to apologize for things that I didn't even start or aren't my fault. It's driving me up a wall, and is tanking my mental health. I tried proposing we sit down with her dad, or my parents, to let them mediate the baby conversation, and let them give us their wisdom and thoughts opinions, but she refused. What do I even do here? Call it off. Therapy. I don't want to leave her, but I can only deal with this childish behavior for so long. Any advice helps. Stories number 42. How long do I wait to call in a welfare check? My neighbor left their tiny dog outside for hours. It is very unusual. Once it got dark and cold, we live in Michigan, we went and knocked on the door, house is dark, we brought the pup to our place. We know this neighbor, the little pup's name is Honey. There are 2 motorcycles in his driveway, one is probably his, we know he's a member of a club, the other surely a friend's. His car is gone. He's never left Honey outside like this. Honey is his somewhat recently deceased wife's dog, and he feeds the neighborhood cats. I also don't think he's the kind of guy to want cops in his business. How long do we wait to call someone? In case anyone is concerned, we would 100% keep the little pup if something has happened. Stories number 43. I use my baby brother as a napkin whenever we're out and there's no napkins. I take my baby brother on errands just to get him out the house. Shopping, treats, random trips even. When I babysit him, he'll tag along with me when I have to be on campus. I'm a university student. He's my best friend ATP and we're pretty inseparable, but eating out with him means getting a tiny bit messy because he's a toddler. Understandable. He's 3 and I'm 19, so I often help him with his food if he asks for it. He wipes his boogers and drool all over my clothes, so I think it's justifiable to use his already dirty shirt to wipe my hands whenever napkins aren't around. To be fair, it's his food that gets on my hands. We never eat inside food places, I usually drive somewhere quiet because he gets overstimulated in loud places. He chills in the passenger when we eat, and when I don't feel like reaching in the back for his bag, I'll use his shirt. Why only have a baby brother when you can have a baby brother and a napkin? It's a little silly, but I love my baby brother LOL, and the age gap makes it funnier. I love being a big sister and taking him everywhere. I can't wait to thank him for being my napkin when he grows up. Stories number 44. Am I going to freak him out? I, 42F, just started seeing a man, 42M. We met at a party in February and have a lot of mutual interests. We met, hit it off. Hung out all night and he immediately asked me out afterward and have been dating ever since. I like him. He's smart. Fun to talk to. A great cook. Has a great career, but he also respects my career and isn't weird about my career success. Every time we hang out, I like him a little more. But it's still early and we are adults with busy lives, so we are taking it slow. His birthday is this week and I volunteered to source the birthday cake for the party he's throwing this weekend. He was very adamant I don't put myself out. But during a conversation, he mentioned he likes princess cakes, which I cannot buy in my city at the last minute. So, I am going to make it. It's a kind of complex cake, so I am going to try it. Honestly, I love the challenge of a new project, so it seems like a fun one. If I fail, I'll get a cake from the co-op. But this, coupled with the fact that I got him a present, a $30 kitchen implement he said he wanted but keeps forgetting to buy. Am I going over the top? Is this going to freak him out? Will it be nice? Am I overthinking this? If it helps, he did mention that one of the bummers of being an adult is having to throw your own party, and I love to throw a party and celebrate my friends. So this is something that is fun for me. Stories number 45. Wibta if I cut off my wife's mocktails. I've always enjoyed cooking. My wife, coincidentally doesn't, so I usually prepare our meals from scratch. This has also applied to our beverages, alcoholic at first, and mocktails once our kid was born. I don't really miss the alcohol so much as the fruity, creative drinks that can be made at home, so mocktails when we're alone, and normal drinks for me when people come over, and a mocktail for my wife. Thing is, she has started to drink less and less. Which is totally fine, but she still insists on me making mocktails, full of expensive syrups and herbs, dried fruit and whatnot, for her that go almost completely untouched once it hits the table. This has been going on for more than a year, and it bums me out that I'm essentially throwing expensive stuff directly to the sink. Which I pay for, or make. She keeps insisting on having mocktails, and when confronted about it, says, I'm a slow drinker, you know this about me, and shrugs it off, saying she's not obligated to finish her drinks. She's asking me to brew ginger beer from scratch, dry green apples, buy Edelweiss or amaretto syrups, and once the mocktail is served, hours go by and it goes warm and turns into a mush. I am contemplating stopping serving her altogether, or making her buy the expensive stuff, but it seems like an asshole move. Is it? Wibta if I cut off my wife. Stories number 46. I've been living with intestinal parasites for years, finally cured. Venting. I'm writing this in hopes of helping out anyone who may be in the same position as me. For years I've struggled with random bouts of diarrhea and always chalked it up to IBS, or being slightly lactose intolerant. The thing is, it felt like I had no control over good or bad bowel movements. It didn't matter what I ate, I tried cutting out foods, high fiber, low fiber, fasting. Nothing helped and I would experience cycles of bad toilet sessions. This caused me to skip meals, I wasn't able to put on weight, I was 63 kilograms at 180 centimeters, because I was scared to eat something that would trigger a bad response. On top of that, I was always dehydrated from extended bouts of diarrhea and the cycles were getting longer and longer. I would need to go multiple times a day and could see undigested food in the toilet. And to top it off, the smell absolutely toxic, like it would burn the nostrils. It smelt like a mix of permanent marker and death. I finally had enough and did a stool test. GPs were always hesitant to recommend a stool test because the issue would eventually resolve itself, but I was having an extra long bout and insisted. It came back positive for moderate levels of Blastocystis hominis, a common microscopic parasite that lives in humans and animals. I had to take a 7-day course of antibiotics to get rid of them, and I'm so glad I did. While on medication, it was brutal, my stomach was all over the place and I had no energy. However, pretty much instantly after I was done, the difference was huge. I almost cried after realizing how much I was struggling and how good it feels now. It doesn't matter what I eat now, even dairy is fine, my bathroom trips are absolutely perfect. For over 2 weeks straight no diarrhea, it doesn't smell bad, I'm consistent and it is completely effortless. My portions are the same and I've put on almost 2 kilograms, now I'm almost 65 kilograms, and it's slowly going up. My skin is clearer, I'm bald but it looks like some of my hair is returning. The difference in my mood and overall well-being is remarkable. I'm less fatigued and have renewed my love of food. My advice is to do a stool test, it's unpleasant but well worth it if you're experiencing any sort of digestive issue. Don't ignore it for so long like I did. Stories number 47. Aita for canceling a guy's Airbnb booking for trying to pull a fast one. Aita for canceling a guy's Airbnb booking after finding out he was trying to host his wedding at our house without permission. So my parents recently bought a house. Before the sale, the previous owners had some Airbnb bookings lined up, but they canceled them once the house sold. My parents were told they could let those people rebook at a discounted rate if they wanted to. One guy rebooked for a weekend in July. Everything seemed fine. Booked for 8 people, no big deal. Fast forward to a few weeks ago, and the guy messages my mom asking, "Hey, can we park a truck with a pizza maker in the driveway?" which was already a bit odd. She asked him to elaborate, and he says they're having a few people over for a welcome dinner and hired a company to come make pizzas. So my mom goes, "Okay, how many people are we talking?" This man says, 100 to 120 people. Like, bro. For context, where we live, you need special permits to hold events like that, especially at a private residence. This is very much considered an event. So my mom tells him she's not okay with that, since he booked for only 8 people and clearly never mentioned throwing a whole party. And then this dude has the audacity to say, "Well, we already told everyone where to go and what time and everything. Can you give me a discount for the inconvenience?" Reminder, he's already staying at a discounted rate. My mom, obviously suspicious at this point, starts digging a bit and finds their wedding website. Turns out they're getting married that weekend. She's convinced they were planning to have the actual wedding at the house without ever mentioning it, so she cancelled his reservation on the spot. Now he's mad, leaving angry messages, and a few family members are saying she should have just let it slide or tried to work something out since it was a special occasion. But like, who tries to sneak a wedding onto someone's property like that? So, Reddit, Aita for cancelling the guy's booking when we found out he was trying to use our house as his wedding venue without telling us. Edit to add, I did use ChatGPT to edit for clarity, yes. Words are hard sometimes, but this is 100% real situation. Stories number 48. Aita for not allowing stepdaughter to sleep on bed with me anymore after her mom accused me of acting predatory. Basically I, F34, am married to a man, F35, who has a daughter, 4, and shares custody with his ex-wife. The girl stays with us 1 week and 1 week with her mother. Now, I have to say that her mother never really liked me. Since we met she was making little comments that made me uncomfortable and made sure I know how she feels about me. So for about 2 months now, the little girl, whenever she would stay with us she wanted to sleep on our bed. Her dad allows her and I have no problem with it, so whatever. I was never really good with kids, I feel awkward because I don't know how to act and I was very worried how would I get along with the girl. Once I started caressing her leg so she would fall asleep faster, and since then she wants me to do it every time. When I say caressing I mean like soft tickle, like petting. I don't know the word for it honestly, but it's not, in any way sexual. Her dad is always there laying next to us, so it's not even like I'm alone with her or something. I guess she told her mom about this, which I thought wouldn't be a problem, but she came last week and waited for me to come back from work in front of the house and then made a huge scene, yelling at me, calling me a pedophile and saying how I'm trying to groom her daughter. She was yelling in front of the house and said how she's going to tell her husband, talking about her ex-husband, my husband. It hurt me so much because I thought I was finally bonding with my supposedly stepdaughter and I just really wanted her to like me. I told my husband right away and he called her and yelled at her and told her how big these accusations are and she just decided to let it go. Now last week, when the girl was staying with us she wanted to sleep on bed and wanted me to pet her leg, but I told her I can't do that anymore. She was sad about it and asked me do I not like her anymore. My husband told me I can't punish her for something her mom did, but I'm not trying to punish her, I just don't want to do it after this. Am I being unreasonable? Stories number 49. My boyfriend and his roommate held me down during a fight. So my boyfriend and I got into a fight because he lied to me about fixing my car after he wrecked it. I got upset and tried to leave, but he wouldn't let me. I slapped him because he was getting closer to me and tried to run out of the door, but he stopped me again, picked me up, and held me against him. Then his roommate came down and asked what was going on and told him to let me go. I was freaking out and ran to the door again, but he stopped me once again and refused to let me go whatsoever. He held me down for 10 minutes and forced me to talk to him, and his roommate said I was going crazy and needed to calm down. I eventually got away after being forced to talk to him. He has a bunch of my stuff and won't drop it off to me now. This is horrible and need what to do. Stories number 50. Aita for breaking my 12 years of friendship with my best friend after he took my wife out and advised her to be careful around me. I, 26M, got married to my wife, 24F, just 2 months ago. My best friend, who was a brother from another mother to me, betrayed me in ways I can't really forgive him. What he did is equivalent to having an affair with your best friend's wife, that type of shit. At least that's how I think about this situation. My wife told me few days ago that my best friend showed up without even telling her and offered to take her to lunch, and he said he wanted to talk to her, and my gullible wife went out with him. I actually don't blame her for that, tbh, he was my best friend, and after being friends for so many years it's okay for my wife to trust him. My wife told me that my friend advised her to be cautious with me. He said I'm violent and get angry very easily, and I'm like a thug, and if I ever mistreat her she should run and contact him. He's not wrong. I'm violent and gets angry easily, especially when it comes to my wife and family. I basically have anger written on my face. I hate socializing and converse with selected individuals. It's not like my wife doesn't know about this. She knows, and she is fine with living with me. And it also doesn't mean that I'll hurt my wife and my own family, and my wife knows that. After she told me what my friend did and what he said, I called him and told him that what he did was very wrong, and I didn't expect him to say something like this to my wife. He said he just wanted to tell my wife that if she's ever in trouble she can seek help from him or anyone else. I told him to not bullshit me. I understand what he's trying to do, and so does my wife. We aren't idiots like him. I told him that I am breaking my friendship with him and he should never get anywhere near my wife ever for his sake. He said that I shouldn't break our decade-long friendship over something like this, even our mutual friends and his siblings. They are my friends as well, saying that I'm going too far. I don't think I went too far. If I did he would have been in trouble, but am I asshole for cutting him off? Stories number 51. I cheated on my boyfriend. Okay, I don't even know where to begin. I have this boyfriend, Ed, who I love with all my heart. We've been dating for a year and a half, but that doesn't matter much for the post. Let's go. I have this friend, who I'll call Gab. Gab is a boy who recently came out as gay and has been my friend since high school. We always slept over at each other's houses to play video games, talk. It was almost like we were family. He would sometimes flirt with me, but I thought it was a joke. Until one night when he slept over at my house, I was woken up by something being pressed against my lap. It was Gab. With his hands going from my chest to my cheeks while I was hyperventilating and tearing up. I couldn't say anything, so he just kissed me. And this went on for a while until he casually went back to sleep. I feel like I was unfaithful to my boyfriend for not telling him to stop, but at the same time I feel like trash because right after he slept I cried like a baby until I slept, and I didn't say anything to Gab or Ed because I'm afraid of the outcome, so I prefer to tell myself that it was just a very bad nightmare. Stories number 52. Wibta if we didn't buy extra toys for 2 uninvited children at a kids' b-day. So I'm 22 but I have twin siblings that are turning 5. My family consists of them, my mom and my dad. We aren't particularly well off, but my mom loves to go all out for parties. She sent RSVP invitations to the kids' classmates. 10 invitations went out, 5 of each of the kids' friends. I don't really think names are important here, but many parents RSVP days to even weeks in advance, with the party being this Sunday. Today, however, one of the last parents texted my mother informing her not only would the invited kid be attending, but she'll be bringing their 2 siblings, one older and one younger, not sure of the exact ages. I know it's odd that I'm 22 with my only siblings being 5, but that's just how it turned out. I'm currently going through university and that's why I live at home, but I help out lots with the house in general. My mom is probably the sweetest person ever and informed the parent that it would be fine that the other kids can come, however we already bought all the toys for the loot bags for the children. The reason this is such an issue is because the kids were supposed to find the items in a safari/jungle adventure type manner as the party progresses. They consist of packs of Barbie clothes, pencils, candies, and the mini brand toys that come with all the small items inside. Those? Not exactly cheap. We have put a lot of money into things like decorations, food for all 10 kids and their parents, and of course gifts for the kids. We bought all the loot bag things in advance when we could find them on sale so that the quality of the toys were still good but in budget. However, this was in the span of months and now they aren't on sale anymore, making them more expensive. Should we just cover the cost of 2 more loot bags like my mother wants, as she's so worried about these kids feeling left out, or would we be the asshole if she listened to me when I say that it was wrong of the mom to invite 2 more children to a party? Let me know. I want to know that my mother is crazy good at shopping deals and got all these items for a couple cents to $1, and these items are mostly above $10, so that's why this is a bit of a headache. Stories number 53. Got hired because they have another woman whom they like and thought we were similar. Day 3 at a new job. New boss just dropped the bomb, lol. Boss, I set up a meeting for you on Friday with this other woman, because she is very good at her role. She's the best in her role in our company, and we actually hired you because we thought you were similar to her. We want to replicate the success, so you two should work closely with each other. Another woman in my role. Whom they like. Whom they like so much that they want more women in this role now. Can you believe this? It's been 15 years of me being the only woman in any room and hearing about it. In fact, a few years ago I gave up on this career altogether. Ladies. Whoever that woman is, I love her already. Keep paving the way for the rest of us. You never know who's watching. Hard work pays off. Stories number 54. I stole over $30,000 in cigarettes from a CVS I worked at over 3 years. Between 2008 to 2010 I worked at a CVS as a cashier. I was paid $7.25 per hour. It was a terrible job. I imagine anyone working at a CVS or comparable company will attest to this. My literal first day I stole a pack of cigarettes. I wasn't even a smoker at this point in my life, but I had just seen the Darjeeling Limited and thought smoking unfiltered cigarettes would be cool. I hated it. The smoking, not the theft. Basically every day after that I stole something while at work. Sometimes I'd text friends to let them know I was working and to let me know if they needed anything. Shampoo, condoms, wine, face wash, etc. Eventually I became a smoker for real and was stealing packs of cigarettes regularly. This eventually evolved to stealing whole cartons of cigarettes. I had the whole Camel family in the trunk of my car, doling out packs to my friends whenever they needed a new pack. In hindsight I should have sold these, though maybe the fact I never did kept this whole thing on the down low. I never stole cash. I was never caught. I suspect, in looking back on it, everyone I worked with was probably stealing stuff. I believe the theft made the job palatable. Eventually I moved to a new location. One with lots of cameras and lots of security around cigarettes. Not being able to steal anything resulted in my quitting a short while later. I don't regret any of the theft. My very conservative estimate of the amount stolen from CVS while I was employed there, cigarettes only, is around $30,000. I wish I had stolen more. In full candor, I feel a great deal of pride in my system for stealing cigarettes. If there seems to be any interest in this methodology in the comments or whatever, I'll happily type it out. Stories number 55. Who am I? Left a 25-year relationship yesterday. Took a bit to realize the man did nothing but use me. The story is longer than that, but nothing I necessarily want to detail or go over right now. It's too raw, and, if I'm being honest, too fucking embarrassing. I'm so angry at myself for so many reasons, mostly because I'm not stupid, very far from it, but I let myself be stupid for my whole fucking adult life, and now I'm 40, with 5 kids and nothing to my name. It's a bitter fucking pill to swallow. My 17-year-old daughter and I went to the store on the way to my mom's, where we are staying. My daughter is also not stupid. She's seen this coming for some time, and knows and understands the reasons why. She is in full support of me, and only wishes I had done it sooner. The plan was spaghetti, but not fully homemade. We were looking at Jared sauce and she could see that I was overwhelmed. She said, "What kind do we normally get?" I say, "Ragu, but honestly kiddo, only because that is your dad's preference." She pauses, and says, "Well, what do you like, Mom?" Man, that question hit me between the eyes hard. I've spent these years catering to him and his tastes, totaling putting myself behind him at every turn, and having the freedom to make my own calls based on my own taste should have been freeing, it should have been empowering. I should have giggled and danced and picked out my favorite while mentally giving him the finger. I'm not being dramatic when I say, it's never been my choice. It's always been keeping the peace, making sure he is comfortable and happy, so he doesn't yell, or throw things, or pout and ignore me for days because I brought home the wrong ketchup brand. Instead, I realized, I had no fucking clue. None. Zero. What do I like? Of anything? Am I going to have a goddamn existential crisis every time I have to choose between what I always get because he required it, and what I want? I haven't been gone 24 hours. I know this gets better. I know I'll be able to giggle and dance over my own choice at some point. I know it's too close to really truly understand my freedom, and relish it. I will not go back, so I will have to relearn myself. So my question you all is, if you've been here, what are your tips for getting through the initial shock of realizing you know nothing about yourself, and how did you find her? Edit, this community never fails to amaze me. I love you all. Like, seriously love you. Today is ending a lot better than yesterday, and a good piece of that is because of you all, and the support provided. My very sad and tired being feels rejuvenated by the kindness and grace, and every single piece of advice has been noted and will be utilized. I can breathe, and I can, and will, do this. Second edit, I forgot in my first edit. I picked Rouse. Was good, but we'll go back to the homemade sauce my dad and I used to make. Stories number 56. The previous owner of my house is threatening legal action over $160 of oil in the tank. I purchased my home this past October. At the time of closing, there was no mention of our responsibility to pay for the remaining oil left in the tank. A month or so later, we received an email requesting that we mail a check to the previous owner in the amount of $159.80. Which is the price they calculated for the oil left in the tank at the time of closing. I forwarded the email to our real estate agent, who advised we ignore the email because any credits or deductions should have been relayed prior to closing. We wouldn't have had an issue with paying this prior to closing, but asking for the money a month later didn't seem right. Today, we received a letter in the mail from the closing attorney, stating that they're on retainer in the small claims case being brought against us for the $160. Was this not an oversight that should have been caught by the attorney's office prior to closing? Are we still responsible for paying it despite the fact that they neglected to mention it until a month after we closed? Stories number 57. Sharing a power move. To be clear, this is something I witnessed, and will be emulating in the future. Maybe you all will appreciate this. The other night I was commuting home pretty late in the evening. When I got off the train it was basically me and just a couple other people, and as I walked home I was maybe a half a block behind another lone woman, maybe mid-20s, on the other side of the street, nobody else around at all. I saw she was approaching a group of maybe 5 or 6 loud, boisterous teenagers coming the other way, taking up the entire sidewalk. Now this is a big city, so you never know what you're going to encounter with unsupervised teens out late at night. This woman was either going to have to step into the street to avoid the oncoming group or squeeze up against a fence. She did neither. As they approached near, she stopped and planted both feet, head up, and waited. The teens parted around her like she was a street lamp and continued on their way, and then so did she. I wanted to applaud. It was the most baller move I think I've ever seen. She just silently stood her ground instead of giving up her space. It was powerful. I hope this inspires someone else as it did me. Stories number 58. Aita for not giving my ex back the gifts he gave me. I, 25F, was in a relationship for about 2 years. It ended recently. He broke up with me. The relationship had its ups and downs, but it wasn't a nasty breakup. We agreed to stay civil. A few weeks after the breakup, he texted me asking for a few things back, stuff like his hoodie, which I had no problem returning. But then he asked for a necklace and a bracelet he gave me on my birthday and our anniversary. These were gifts, not borrowed items. He even had them engraved at the time, so they were clearly personal and meant for me. I told him that I wasn't giving the jewelry back because they were gifts, and returning them felt petty and unnecessary. He got mad and said keeping them was weird and that I should have some respect now that we're no longer together. He even went so far as to say, I want to give them to someone else one day, which honestly grossed me out a bit. Like, you want to recycle engraved jewelry? Some mutual friends are saying I should just give them back to avoid drama. But others agree that a gift is a gift, and once it's given, it's not supposed to come with strings. So, Aita for refusing to return the jewelry my ex gave me when we were together. Stories number 59. AIO, coworker buys everyone in the shop lunch but me. Briefcase work/career. As the title states, my coworker will buy everyone in our small family-owned mechanic shop lunch but me. There's only a handful of us. I have bought everyone lunch plenty of times, even when I shouldn't have because I can't really afford it. He's done a few times now where he'll go out of his way and ask everyone what they for lunch and get it for them but skipping me. He does it right in front of me. I've never said anything. Probably won't either. But this is bothering me so much and it's just such a dick move, you know. So, AIO, edit, I want to clarify that it's not about the food, it's the concept of him asking everyone else what they want to eat. I have zero issue bringing my own food or going out to grab myself something. The only thing I can think of why he's doing this is that I've had to cut back on my hours due to childcare. A grudge maybe? Itfk. He makes twice what I make hourly and he has free will of working as late as he wants so he gets lots of overtime. I am not the new person at the shop technically. I've been there over a year now, he's been there about 6 months maybe, though he's worked here before a few years prior. He hasn't started doing this until the last month or two, it was all fine and dandy until recently. Stories number 60. My friend told my principal she fell in the toilet. Petty revenge. Context, I 16F and my friend 18 female were in the bathroom talking about stuff. She mentions that our principal was going to say something about her being 8 minutes over on her smart pass. He does this to everybody, so I half-jokingly said, say you fell in. She was like what? I didn't expect her to actually do it. But she does have beef with this principal. We meet back up after class and she tells me the story. He's something generic about her being over and she says, I fell in. Some laughed but I wished I could have seen the look on his face, it was probably shocked Pikachu face. This was too good not to tell. Stories number 61. Conversation overheard next door to my hotel room. Security, hey, buddy. Hotel security. Please come to the door sir. Partier, what's going on man? Security, time to shut it down. Partier, huh. Security, it's too loud. Time to shut the party down. Only guests with a room key are permitted to remain at this point. Partier, why? Security, too loud, buddy. It's too loud. Partier, it's a Friday night. It's in my room only. Security, it's a Thursday night and there's a 10 p.m. noise cutoff here every day of the week inside the hotel. There's a lot of good spots down the street. Or you're welcome to head to the beach if you go to one that's open. Partier, come on, man. Security, no come on. Shut it down or we'll have to ask everyone to leave. You'd forfeit the room. Partier, who complained? Who complained? What pussy can't take a little music on a Friday night? Security, this is a family-friendly hotel. We got children, the elderly, people who have to work in the morning, time to shut it down, man. Not gonna say it again. We don't have all night to stand here and go back and forth, all right? You can have a good time and have fun, but you need to be respectful of other guests and abide by the rules of the hotel property. Partier, that's bullshit. Security, it is what it is though. So are you done here or are we going to need to have a different discussion? Partier shuts door. Turns off music. Rants for a few minutes before passing out. Stories number 62. Should I break up with my GF? She's a wonderful person and I truly do love her, but I just feel like our values don't align. She's ace and I'm completely okay with that, but sometimes I feel like I just need a kiss or something, but I don't tell her because I know she's not into this stuff. I want her to be in my life, I see a future with her, she's like my best friend, but that's literally it. She's my best friend, she doesn't act like a partner. It feels like I'm in a long-distance relationship and we're literally in the same country. Next year we're both going to uni and I'm scared that things are going to get worse. Should we break up? We've been dating for almost 2 years now. BTW. Edit. I'd like to clarify some misconceptions. I'm only 17, this post isn't related to any sexual intimacy as I'm also not really into that stuff, it's more about romantic intimacy. I'm uncertain of this relationship because I am happy with her, it's just these two things holding us back. We've had convos about physical affection and she has made it clear that she isn't interested in any romantic intimacy.